Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the result of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I think we've done very well in the very difficult circumstances in which we took over governance.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say!
The perception in itself does more harm than actual corruption that you have.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus.
Iraq's parliament called on Sunday for U.S. and other foreign troops to leave as backlash grows against the U.S. killing of a top Iranian general, and President Donald Trump doubled down on threats to target Iranian cultural sites if Tehran retaliates. Deepening a crisis that has heightened fears of a major Middle East conflagration, Iran said it was taking another step back from commitments under a 2015 nuclear deal with 6 major powers. Iran's most prominent general, Qasem Soleimani, was killed on Friday in a U.S. drone strike on his convoy at Baghdad airport, an attack that carried U.S.-Iranian hostilities into uncharted waters. An Iranian government minister denounced Trump as a terrorist in suit after the U.S. president sent a series of Twitter posts on Saturday threatening to hit 52 Iranian sites, including targets important to Iranian culture, if Tehran attacks Americans or U.S. assets to avenge Soleimani's death. Iran has declared that it will no longer abide by any of the restrictions imposed by the 2015 nuclear deal. In a statement, it said it would no longer observe limitations on its capacity for enrichment, the level of enrichment, the stock of enrichment material, or research and development. The announcement followed a meeting of the Iranian cabinet in Tehran. Tensions have been high over the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani by the U.S. in Baghdad. Reports from Baghdad say the U.S. Embassy compound where there was targeted in an attack on Sunday evening. A source told the BBC that 4 rounds of indirect fire had been launched in the direction of the embassy. There were no reports of casualties. We'll move away from that to Germany, where we hear the leaders of Germany, France and Britain on Sunday agreed to work towards bringing about de-escalation of the Middle East amid heightened tensions following the U.S. drone strike that killed Iranian General Soleimani, a German government spokesman said. The Chancellor, the French President and the British Prime Minister agreed to work together to reduce tensions in the region, said a spokesperson, after Germany's Angela Merkel spoke with France's Emmanuel Macron and Britain's Boris Johnson on the phone. 2 lawmakers in Venezuela have both declared themselves parliamentary speaker after a tumultuous day in the country's politics. U.S.-backed opposition leader Juan Guaido and rival Luis Parra both claimed to be Speaker of the National Assembly on Sunday. Guaido, who was aiming to be re-elected to the post, said police stopped him from entering parliament. Recall that last January he announced himself Venezuela's interim president, a move that was quickly backed by almost 60 countries, including the US and the UK, after disputing President Nicolas Maduro's 2018 re-election. His position as the head of the opposition-led National Assembly was the basis of his claim to be Venezuela's legitimate head of state. But after a year of failed attempts to oust President Maduro, he has been struggling to maintain unity among the opposition. Up next is our business news. Power distribution companies have set a new record of 466 billion naira in their yearly revenue collection, the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors has said. ENED, which is the umbrella body for all the discos, said the revenue collection rose by 10%. The discos collected a total of 466 billion from customers from October 2018 to September 2019, compared to the 423 billion naira collected from October 2017 to September 2018. Discos have reduced their ATC losses from 22.5% in June 2017 to 19.1% in September 2019, according to the report. Still ahead on Plus TV Africa News is a roundup on entertainment and sports. We're back in a moment.
Mona Lisa is all about me. It's all about you. It's all about our stories. The stories that never get told, but ought to.
Whereby water transportation does not make financial sense, it makes economic sense.
I was there for 2.5 hours on the floor. Nobody attended to me.
If we don't take care of the poor will take care of us.
It's about getting at the root of things and hearing from the horse's mouth.
We are 15 public hospitals to make them affordable.
In the whole of Africa, we are bigger. You know, Nigeria, we sleep, eat, dream, fashion.
Those with the financial backing don't see fashion as an investment, which makes no sense.
If they do it for free, they won't have money for the next case.
Mona Lisa is about real life and real lives, yours and mine. Make a date with Mona Lisa, and together, let's ensure that the important stories get told.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
And in entertainment, Ellen DeGeneres, the stand-up comedian who broke barriers to gays to become one of the most popular people on television, received a Golden Globes Lifetime Achievement Award on Sunday. DeGeneres was the second person to be given the Carol Burnett Award, which was established by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association a year ago to recognize the new golden age of television in the United States. DeGeneres said she was especially gratified by viewers who watched her current talk show and were then inspired to encourage and support people in their own lives. That's it on entertainment. Sports news comes on after this break. Stay with us. Nigeria winger Harry Onyekuru has joined Turkish Super League champions Galatasaray on a 6-month loan deal from French club AS Monaco. Onyekuru spent last season on loan with the Tarim's men and scored 14 goals in 31 league appearances. Galatasaray failed in their bid to sign the Nigerian international on a permanent deal last summer, and instead he linked up with Monaco for £12.5 million. He, however, failed to secure regular playing time at Monaco, making just 4 league appearances. Onyekuru will wear jersey number 40 at the club. Great Britain avoided an early exit at the Association of Tennis Professional Cup as Jamie Murray and Joe Salisbury won the decisive doubles to clinch a comeback victory over Belgium. After Britain lost to Bulgaria in their opening tie on Friday, the team would have been eliminated from the inaugural 24-nation tournament if Murray and Salisbury lost their rubber against Gill and Vliegen. With the tie locked at 1-1 and a defeat ending Britain's hopes of reaching the quarterfinals, Murray and Salisbury won 6-3, 7-6 against Belgian pair. Dan Evans kept the British bid alive by beating world number 11 David Goffin. That came after Cameron Norrie lost in 2 sets to veteran Steve Dassis. That's it in sports and wrap things up at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel that is also at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines, so please join us again. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
And Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
Make music and people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi like,
sleeping early.
Hello and welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we discuss the biggest entertainment stories. My name is Elsie Godwin, and I've got my co-anchors with me, Ifeoluwa Osunkeye and Nimi Dekombi.
Gang, gang.
How you doing?
Happy New Year, guys.
Ife, stop. Just stop.
Like the 6th day already.
Man, boy, it feels like it's still 1st of January. Is this month's movie?
Because you're eating too much.
I know, right? And the money is growing very fast.
You're eating too much.
It's making me feel like I'm getting broke at the beginning of the month. And
exactly.
It's, you know? It's
because
really...
for me, it already feels like January. I feel like there has been like 2 weeks already.
You know?
January. So many
and
things.
And you're expecting it to be like January 20-something already.
Yeah.
And then you check, it's just 6.
It's just January 6th.
So I think it's still happening.
I'm not vibing with you people right now. I don't understand.
You can relate. You had some late things that helped your situation. We had it early.
Okay, it's already 6th of January, like they rightly said, and you might think it's late for 2020 tips, but Nollywood actress Stella Damasus is dishing out some tips for the new year. She says, be selfish with your peace of mind, a principle she will also live by this year. She said, and I quote, it may sound self-centered and arrogant, but those who have lived by this can tell you what they experience. The results will shock you. It may cost you a few friends, but that is if those friends don't bring you peace. This year, I'm cutting off and letting go of negative people. I'll embrace positive and focused people who want to grow and succeed. End of quote.
Did she follow me?
Did she follow you?
To where?
You can remember when we were talking about New Year resolutions and I said I will be extremely selfish this year with my peace of mind, with my
So you inspired her, right?
Yeah, and like I'm wondering how we're so
in sync.
Yeah, you get me, like intertwined, like because right now, 2020.
Because you're just soulmates.
You two are also cutting people off.
No, I'm not doing all of that, like the cutting off. I'm just going to be extremely selfish with my happiness, my joy, my peace of mind. Anything that makes me, I'm not concerned about the second or third party this year.
Is that why you're eating too much, Faye? I'll keep dancing you with this.
You want to get fatter?
Yes, and then I'm also learning how to say no this year because I think I say yes a lot. And then people tend to
I feel like I said yes to me.
You never asked me.
Wow.
People that ask me always ask her. She's the regular customer. But this year, I've been saying a lot of no's, and I'm also making sure I'm extremely selfish with my peace of mind. So I understand where Stella is coming from. And really, if you think about it, the world expects you to please them. The truth is, you cannot please everybody. If you do this, they will say. If you do this, they will say something negative. If you don't do that, they will say, hey, why is she not doing, or why is he not doing it?
But I think it's as if you're concerned about people's opinions about
No, it's not even about being concerned about people. People do not mind their business anymore, especially in the age of social media where your business is everybody's business. Do you understand? So it's not.
That's when you make it everybody's business.
I was about to say that. And if you are in the public eye,
sometimes you just post a very, very innocent picture, and then some people start asking questions. Like your business is if you're not putting it out there for you to be anybody,
but they want to know.
But they want to know. They start asking questions. You check your comment section, and then you start seeing different things. So this year, I think everybody should follow through with what Stella is saying. Be very selfish, deliberately selfish.
And I think being selfish is just about thinking of yourself first.
Yeah, putting yourself first.
Yeah, putting yourself first.
Does it make you happy? Does it improve you? Are you supposed to invest in yourself? Just put you first, make you happy, make you resourceful, and then any other person can come after that.
Yeah, I think she gave great advice. But me, I just like the wording. Like the way she, the way she like presented it, and especially when she said she was going to be cutting people off.
She said, only if they are not giving you peace of mind.
She also said she's going to be cutting people off. But she now said that the people that should actually be cutting off are people that are not giving her peace of mind. Now that I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, it's great advice. But me, I just have issues with like cutting people off.
If you're not giving peace of mind, cut you off.
You just
when
you say cutting people off, when people say cutting people off, what does that mean?
In case you have not noticed, we have been sharing scissors on social media. So go and collect your own scissors and cut them.
It is close to the year. Anytime it's close to the end of the year, everybody's always posting, oh, this year I'm cutting this person off, this year I'm cutting people off, this year I'm cutting people off. So I'm like, what exactly does cutting people off mean?
Maybe you need to find Stella.
Okay, so if you ask me, I say cutting people off is if for instance you're always bringing bad vibe, bad energy, but I look at you like, oh, it's my family member, I can't. Do you understand? But every time you come, is to come and gossip about this other relation, come and gossip about this friend.
So now that you mentioned that, I don't know if you guys have ever encountered people like that, but there are people that would okay, so if you look good from January to, okay, from the first day of January to the 31st of January, they will never see you to say, oh, you look good.
But
the day there is something wrong. They are the ones.
Are you okay?
I think
is it that thing that's affecting?
I think people should not wait until the end of the year to start saying, I'm going to like cut this person off. I think it should be an immediate thing. If you notice that this kind of person, that's my own, that's like the issue I have. When people are waiting towards the
that's
end
why
of the year.
I did not use friendship as an example. I used relations. Do you understand? Like
That's
your
different.
actual relations that whenever they come to your house, it's come but they give you gist. They tell you, this your friend, this your that. They're always bringing that bad vibe, as in they've never come to you to come and tell you that, oh, there's this beautiful business idea I think we can both venture into. You know, they're not bringing anything to the table, but every time they seem to come around, is it some negative energy. So this is the time. It's not that you will not pick their call, but when they tell you, I know I should step out and say, I'll be back in 45 minutes. 45 minutes, okay. 45 minutes later, they call you, I'm still not back.
But people like that don't call you, really. They just show up.
They just show up.
People with that kind of character, they won't call you.
Here, knock at your door, and if you're not expecting anybody, do not open.
That's so mean.
But me, I'll just say.
That's me.
The advice is
my
great.
door from now to tomorrow, you'll be
the advice is great, but me, what I'll just say to people is that don't wait until the end of 2020, because 2020 has already started now.
Yeah, I saw
end of
Skibi when they asked Skibi about his New Year resolution, and he was like, oh, New Year, new me. Then he used a cuss word, and he said, no. New Year, same me. If you have a problem with it. Because at the end of the day, if your 2019, the things you did worked out for you, you saw positive impact, then why the new you? I mean, as well, just remain the same.
Okay.
So to people that are watching, I'll just say basically that don't wait until the end of the year before you start making resolutions. Make resolutions as the day goes by. You don't have to wait until the end of 2019 before you realize that you need to.
Hey, people are so mean in this matter. But moving on, another Nollywood actress, Charity Naji, might be going through domestic violence, and this is going by the latest Instagram post. It read, "Hard time for me. I need your prayers. My fears as single mom, but I really don't have an option right now. Hashtag say no to domestic violence." So,
well, to be honest, I don't really have I don't know what this Charity Naji is. The first time I heard that story was with this Momfa, the Momfa Instagram guy that is like very rich on IG. So that was like when I heard about her, and it's like every single time her name comes up in the news, it's not for, oh, Charity Naji was in this movie and she did well. Charity Naji did this. It's always for one negative controversy or the other. And I would say that this story is very vague. There's no substance to it when you look deep, because like we don't know, because she said her fear as a single mom has come to pass, and then she said say no to domestic violence. So we don't know what exactly is going on. I hope it's not like clouds chasing, Sha.
For me, I feel it can. If you say it's vague, it's possible. But if you also want to look at it and forget that she's always in between controversies, you'll probably notice that. For me, I feel like she's saying she doesn't want to become a single mother, but the fact that she's going through this domestic violence is leaving her no option right now, right? So whatever it is, I just know that when I use myself as an example, I know I cannot even survive one slap. So I don't know how people stay in such relationship in hopes that this person will be better. Like, sis, it's wrong, but I admire that strength, because I can never have it
I think
forever.
You know what? Because
and I hope that she comes out of it.
In as much as the story might come out to be a bit vague, I'm seeing a woman with strength, courage, and decisiveness, because
I'm going to embrace her fear.
Yeah, a lot of women have stayed in relationships that they've been abused verbally, physically, because of a child. Do you understand? They'll be like, oh, well, I don't want my child to grow up without a father, but you're not happy. You're being slapped left, right, center every day. You're being treated like trash.
You're in between life and death.
You're in between life and death, but because you have a child, you want to stick around in that relationship. This is 2026. I saw something about a girl that said she was married to, she was engaged, she was dating this guy for 4 years, and
the guy slapped
her once.
Twice.
No, twice.
Two
okay,
slaps.
he slapped her twice, yeah, but once. I think it was the first time he slapped her, but it was 2 slaps.
It was double
It was the first time.
Yeah, it was the first, but he slapped her twice. Then she moved on. She broke up with him, and the guy could not believe that she actually left because of a slap. So in his mind, it's like, no,
she left for somebody. Yeah.
Do you understand? Like he couldn't believe. But this is a time where we've seen women that have died. We've seen women that they've lost a lot of things just because they stayed with a man that started with one pinch. One pinch turned to one slap turned to one kick turned to one blow. Before you know it now, it has turned to goosebumps. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, you need to make a decision for yourself as a woman. The fact that a man will raise his hand, people will say that that maybe you did something. Don't forget what you did wrong.
And also,
any man that was raised right would never raise his hand on a woman.
You know how society can have an opinion when they see a single mother, or now they call them baby mama or whatever you want to call them. They feel like, oh, they made a mistake with their life and all that. I don't know, but this is a feeling. There are people that, women, not even men, women that have gone out there to say bad things about other women that ended up as single mothers. And when they now find themselves in that situation, they are scared. They feel like, no, I don't want to become a single mother because of what they have said about people. Because they too, they felt like they had the answer to everything that comes with life at the tip of their finger, but they realized that it's not like that. So that is another struggle they have to go through, because they feel like, no, I can't join the people I've been bashing. But at the end of the day, it's just about you and your happiness. Just survive and be happy. Say no to domestic violence, like she rightfully said. And I hope she actually gets the courage to move on from it, because it's never easy. Like Ife said, sometimes you're thinking of your child, you're thinking of what people will say, you're thinking of people you've bragged to say, oh, I have the best man in the world. And I mean, best man can turn to the worst man tomorrow, you know. And I just tell people, enjoy the moment, and when that moment ends, try to move on and find another happiness. That's just it.
So I would say that to Charity Naji, whatever it is that she's going through, she should find the strength to pull through and just take a walk from the relationship, because it's better. I would always say that it's better to be alive than to be packing the trying to build or maintain an already broken relationship. If somebody cannot respect your body, if somebody cannot respect you as an individual, then there's no reason for you to remain in that kind of relationship. Because when somebody is raising up his hand to beat you, and somebody is, because for me, I feel like domestic violence always stems from a place of power dynamics. You're trying to show that you are more powerful than the person, or that you can control that kind of person.
I think some men are just built that way, because upbringing also comes into play in this. Now, if you were brought up in a home where you saw a man eating, so that's why a lot of parents, and we that are aspiring to be parents, we need to be mindful of the kind of examples we lay down for our children, because I can't imagine my daughter seeing me always beating the mom. When she grows up, she will have a certain mindset from a man. So even when a man does it, she feels like, okay, my dad did it and my mom stuck around, so let me just stick around too. Now that also comes to play with the boys. The boy says their dad doing that every time, their mom is sticking around. They'll be like, so it's okay for me to do it too. So upbringing also matters. So a lot of parents should try and avoid what their kids see them doing. Lay down a good example, a good foundation, and then you make the best.
So basically, for what you're saying, I think I'll just sum it up to saying living an abusive relationship is the best thing you can also do for your child. Because I know you say, oh, I'm staying there because of my child, but living is the best thing you can do for your child.
We can be co-parent, we can do co-parenting, you know, we can have weekends.
I don't think you should co-parent with an abusive partner, though.
It's time for a break, though. But when we return, disqualified BB Niger housemate Tacha might be talking a little too much. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, Abayomi Alvin here, Nollywood actor. You keep on watching Tea Time on Plus TV Africa. And you know what's up? Big stories live here.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years. 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
Hi, I'm Danola Gray. Keep watching Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
This is Tea Time on Plus TV Africa. Ex-Big Brother Naija housemate Anita Natasha Akide, popularly known as Tacha, opens up on why she and her former management T-Bills had to part ways. According to an interview with Sunday Scoop, she said her expectations weren't met. She said, and I quote, "When one signs up with a management, one would have expectations and targets. However, it's one thing to have expectations and it's another thing to have the expectations turned to reality. Sadly, that didn't happen, especially after the first month of being signed to a management. The drive I had and the drive they had did not match. I drew their attention to my concerns and also tried to manage the situation by being patient and hoping for a change. But things got worse as time went on. And after 3 months, I decided we should mutually disengage our business relationship for the sake of my brand," end of quote. Regarding rumors on intimacy between herself and T-Bill, she says people are always saying things and it won't stop. I don't know what they mean by that. If their intimacy means that he's a good manager, then by all means he is. If not, I'm lost. End of quote.
Do you realize that that's very contradictory?
Yeah, like you just called him a good manager.
You just called him a good manager, and then you said how he wasn't able to execute.
But then it could still work because maybe his vision for her is not the vision she has for herself.
I don't even understand what she's saying, because as far as I'm concerned, Tacha has been trending like almost every day.
My dear, trending does not pay the bills. So.
Exactly. But then it looks like she has had like good endorsements.
She just has
so
great
far.
Titans.
And okay, maybe it's just the Titans that are doing all the work. Then maybe T-Bills has not been doing anything.
I get where Tacha is coming from when she says that, okay, you know, when you sign up to a management, you expect that, okay, things are going to pick up. But sometimes people don't face the reality that, look, your brand itself is very controversial. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of strategy before someone like you will be able to get as much endorsement as fast as you want them. Do you understand? Like, it's not that it's impossible, but it takes a lot of strategic planning and thinking for that to happen. And it also takes a lot of, what's it called? Energy. So if you're saying, so maybe T-Bills is actually trying, but you have too much expectation.
No, I'm not even going to drag T-Bills on this one. Maybe
I'm
partially.
not even dragging T-Bills at all.
Because a month is not enough.
3 months is not enough.
For any form of business to give you your expectations.
Bam, bam.
As soon as I'm wondering what our expectations are.
The only part I'm going to bring in is the conversation we've had on Tea Time regarding Tacha, and also remember when Joyce Ibewaji wrote whatever she wrote, and I said it. I think it was Ewa that was on the show that day, and I said I feel like the person we are seeing is not the entirety of Tacha. There is a lot of her that is being caged. There's a lot of her that you're saying, okay, no, don't do this. I know you can tell someone you're too brash, you're too this, let's tone it down, but let's think about what her fans actually loved about her. They loved the Tacha that would unrepentant Tacha, the Tacha that would say the way it is in her mind, get up, make a video. Maybe you don't want to twerk for the gram anymore. Great, that's like awesome, right? I'm not saying twerking for the gram is a problem, but that's part of the brand. But I'm saying that part can actually go, but maintain your voice, be able to speak. But Tacha became the person that only posts beautiful pictures. So it seemed like all you do is wake up and go for photo shoots.
I think
that was all your life was all about.
Was where they had
so I feel like, I don't know, I mean, I'm not Tacha, this is just my personal opinion.
I want to liken their business relationship to a lion owner. You own a lion and you want to tame it and you want to keep it as a domestic pet. It's impossible. Do you understand? It's not a puppy, it's not a dog, it's a cub. Do you understand? Tacha is wild and free. Do you understand? But T-Bills, when he started managing her, we started seeing her cover up a lot.
Yeah.
The twerking thing wasn't all over there again. She was being
brand
the full-time
changed.
lady. No, that's not the Thatcher we knew even before the Big Brother.
Yeah.
They wanted that same Thatcher back. Our Titans may be supportive because of what they saw in the Big Brother. After a while, and they start seeing this whole new Thatcher, trust me.
I mean, Thatcher used to be the person that gives her opinion on most of the trending issues.
That like now, she doesn't talk anymore.
She was big
photo
with that before she went into the house, and which was, I think, one of the reasons she was even chosen to be in the house. So how do you now come out and too many things have happened in the space of 3 to 4 months they came out of the house, and Thatcher has nothing to say. All she has to do is post a picture and tell us we're working, my team is working, we're having a get together. And I feel like I understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, a month or 3 months is not enough. So I like that they are going their separate ways now, and I hope that T-Bills does not take this this interview personal and then try to have like a clap back and then we start dragging. I just hope it dies here.
I think that's why they are doing the damage control. You know, after she spoke about his management not being so good, she still said, if their intimacy is that he's a good manager, then he is. So they are doing a lot of damage control at the same time while they're bringing each other down.
For me, I'll just say that for me, the real hero in this entire story will be Joy Isibewaji, because she predicted this a long
time. I told you guys that she knows what she's saying. Exactly. I know that she can be too much. I don't use the word crazy. Joy Isibewaji can be too much. I've had first-hand experience we have. We've worked together. She can be too much, but she
on
made
this
a lot of
one,
sense. And I said it that day that she knew what she was saying.
Exactly. And look at it, like how many months after what she said, and look at what has happened already.
I think Thatcher did the better job branding herself than when she was with
T-Bills. You know, and that was what Joy was saying, that T-Bills cannot manage her brand.
He had a vision.
But then you have to be able to
her.
merge your vision with her vision and then have like an alignment that suits both sides. You cannot totally change a person.
So sometimes you're allowed to be the perfect lady that you want to be, but sometimes we need you to go out
to be the Thatcher that made us love you in the first
place. Create controversies. Like since the Big Brother house, we haven't seen any controversy.
We've not seen any crazy thing from Thatcher, and that was one of the things that made people like her in the first place.
Anyway, good luck
apart
to Thatcher.
from people calling her an ingrate though.
Whatever. Good luck to Thatcher, and I hope she moves higher, right? And good luck to T-Bills too. Moving on, Sam Clef reacts to actresses getting car gifts. He tweeted, and I quote, every time I see the female actress posting, I just got this Benz as a gift. Why is nobody getting the male guys, the male actors, the same gift? Is it because them no gets 3 holes for Nyash? End of quote.
Like, okay, I feel like he has a point.
He doesn't have a point. But
he doesn't have a point.
No. Because why he said this was, I don't know, there was one video like this that was trending on Twitter of one actress lady that got a Mercedes Benz. And first of all, I just... No, not Etinosa.
No,
this was another unknown actress.
Etinosa
too was gifted a Mercedes Benz. And
I saw her driving it, by the way, one day.
Oh, really? Yeah. So it's not an audio Benz. I'm happy for her. But anyway, so this actress, her video was trending, and God... Please, I just want to comment on that video. That video was poor, terrible acting. Because she did not, and for somebody who says that she's an actress, that video was just, I was just cringing. Because it was so obvious that she knew that the Mercedes Benz was there before. She was just acting for the camera. Okay, but that is by the way. I think that was why Sam Clef now reacted like this, and he was talking about that particular video where the actress, was gifted a Benz. But to me, I would also kind of like side with him, because like we rarely see male actors being gifted with Mercedes Benz.
First and foremost, I can't remember who came out to say this, but remember somebody coming out to say these guys are now beginning to take away the sugar baby positions from the politicians, right? So you see all these things we are dragging ladies for. Men, especially on the island that I know, they do way more than it does one. Secondly, these guys get gifts. The fact that they don't come on social media to flaunt it does not mean that they don't have women that are spending their lives on them.
I'm going to give 2 examples. Funny Bone got a Mercedes-Benz car gift from E-Money, right?
Well, they will say it's different because we know who gave him the car.
The Mercedes-Benz.
But this one we never, like, it's just like a fan.
But you know guys like to be anonymous when it comes to gifting a woman, because most of these guys may even be married and they don't want their wives thinking, oh, I'm having... Because that's what people will say, why did you give her a car? You're sleeping with her. And that might not be the case. Maybe this person just did something for you or linked you up with a contract or she knows somebody that she now linked you up with and then you got $1 million contract and then you said, okay.
I like your vibe.
And you're like, okay, let me show appreciation to this lady because you are well connected. You linked me up with this guy. So it doesn't, everything doesn't have to be sexual before you get to gift somebody a car gift. Junior Pope, the actor, also got a Lexus GL 780 or 480. Recently, I think over the weekend, from E-Money and Casey as well. Do you understand?
So like E-Money is the one that is sponsoring all these actors now, because
these two actors you have mentioned, it is E-Money.
But that's what I'm saying. This is an E-Money, and people can come out to
exactly. People know
there are so many guys that are getting gifts, and they are just
not saying anything.
I mean, it
happens.
And then every time a woman gets a gift, it doesn't necessarily mean she's sleeping with the person. So
that's what I don't
agree with. Three O's or 2 O's. And besides, I'm now thinking, okay, down there,
do you understand? I was like confused.
Not 3
like 3 holes.
Like, okay. We'll go on a quick break.
Down.
But to all sweet tooths out there, all yogurt lovers, we've got big news for you. And if time permits, we'll also have one more story. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Abike Domina. Keep watching Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
That money we shoot every person that we know can shoot. We don't let people die there.
You could have killed us for a long period of time.
Is that time why I carry gonorrhea? I first go hospital first, but it didn't no go. Now I come make that mama.
He just pulled it, he pointed and shot.
What is the soul of a man?
They suffer too much. They suffer too much.
Issues around the Nigerian police. We have to tackle it holistically.
Hi guys, my name is Bisola Ayola and I want you to keep watching Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Welcome back. Pinkberry Gourmet Frozen Yogurt Nigeria is making it happen this January with 3 sweet offers. You get to enjoy 3 cups of the tasty and refreshing yogurts for just 2,000 Naira. But that's not all. Pinkberry is also giving out free frozen yogurts, free delicious cup of frozen yogurt on the 9th of January at Pinkberry Ikoyi and also the one in Victoria Island at Ajose at Diogun from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is very exciting. All you need to do is head over to any Pinkberry Gourmet frozen yogurt store near you and be a part of all the mouth-watering offers. I'm sure I'm definitely going to get my own cup, but time will not permit us to have time will not permit us to have one more story. So that's how I wrap up this episode of Tea Time. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you can catch up on this episode and all our exclusive content by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. You can also watch Tea Time on Auto TV and in London on Ben Television. My thank you as always go to my co-anchors Nimi Dekombi and Ifeoluwa Oshoke and the entire production team. My name is Elsie Godwin saying thank you for watching and have yourselves a good day.
Seize it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome.
welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
All right, country people, greet on our top this very o'clock. Wemson Nate join us for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. This Sunday to know Wemson Sama given my name, I promise. No. Let's say they don't tell President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. May they talk with the get as take the asset declaration forms. When say the summit give the Code of Conduct Bureau (CCB). For freedom of information request, let me say the Socio-Economic Right and Accountability Project (SERAP) send go meet the presidency. They say they stated it exists state governors and their deputies may they use their good offices to clarify within 7 days since they receive the request. As SERAP TikTok, the follow request, a date when we say they put for 3rd of January 2020, when we say the Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare signed, he talks say the Constitution of the Nigeria 1999 has amended the FOL Act and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. He talks say make all public officials talk with it they get, give every, and make they say a day as they take declare them before now. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) don't talk say Oga President Muhammadu Buhari a year for overseas treatment say now for himself and he raised public matter for high level of carry-do for governance. The PDP say hospitals for treatment and even check-ups say they want as PDP National Publicity Secretary Kola Alagbade on Sunday they say the administrator of Oga President Buhari don't fail to give better health care for the country. I say enough it turn back to preach to other citizens against foreign treatments. The party shook mouth for the public allocation for the healthcare since the APC takeover administrate for the country. When we say that they say the 427.3 billion naira, when we say they put for the 2020 budget, enough it meet the needs of over 186 million Nigeria people. Pastor Tunde Bakare, when we say he gets Citadel Global Church, yesterday don't young give Oga President Muhammadu Buhari, make it do new waka and build a bonge name, when we say go bring one better Nigeria. He said to bring strong leadership, now we to go bring work out the nation building and to touchlight all the energies of the state and enter one of bonge areas and go make the president first agenda at Tandagriba for the next 3 years of his administrate. Bakare said to give strong leadership means say that they bring better result of better governance. When we say people, policies, program and process of government go bring better for the productivity for the country. He talked this one for in 2020 State of the Nation when we say they call Show the True Enemies of Nigeria for the church headquarters inside Ogba, Lagos. They said Inspector General of Police IGP Mohammed Adamu yesterday, he don't place police command and formations nationwide for red alert. He said they do the work after intelligence report shows say some domestic interests, they plan to do big public disturbance and scatter. The move show face as the United States of America, USA, they kill Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, and they say they don't tell the zonal AIGs and command commissioners of police, may they do better touchlighting and security of life and property across the nation. He said they don't tell the police commanders, may they carry both overt and covert police operative to say better security and safety of citizens, foreigners, especially diplomat and diplomatic missions. When say that Nigeria say may they still protect the Ogbonge national assets. The IGP don't tell Nigeria people and foreigners when say that they stay the country say better security it go day and also the summer won't give all the troublemakers to rock above from the street and area of Nigeria. They say the Global Action for Peace, GAP, don't tell the USA and Britain, may they do work out the safety of their citizens for Nigeria because of the threat of when say the Islamic movement of Nigeria, IMN, they plan. The Islamic joint body don't say they won't begin foreigners after one military action waka. When say Bodo United States of America do when they make one of their top Iranian military commander, General Qasem Soleimani, die for Iran. The president on Sunday tell Nigerian people make them no fear for the withdrawal of the 1,200 Chadian troops from the Lake Chad Basin, when say they for the border of the country. They say the withdrawal they in line with the mandate of the Multinational Joint Task Force, MNJTF, where we say they launched on July 1st, 2016, and we say they end on December 31st, 2019. They say Nigeria go send troops go Chad as part of one new concept against the Boko Haram insurgency, in line with the scope of the Multinational Joint Task Force, and they call back the 1,200 troops on Friday from one part of the northeast. Because of their withdrawal, plenty Nigerian people for Borno State don't start to run come off from the areas where we say the Chadian troops they manage. They say the operation don't cost Africa EU collabo about €50 million and the UK about £5 million. The International Criminal Court don't say they don't carry their waka for possible war crimes and crimes against humanity for Nigeria to cover gbege between Nigeria soldiers and members of the Islamic movement for Nigeria. The ICC still they carry the waka of the gbege between the Nigeria soldiers and one separatist group when we say the indigenous people of Biafra for head. The ICC I throw away this year for the 2019 edition of the every year report of the waka when we say the office of their prosecutor when Fatou Basuda stand as Oga they do. The report when they say a day for December 5th, 2019, it shows say they talk the waka of Nigeria for November 18, 2010. And I say the office of the ICC prosecutor on November 12, 2015 show it to Bonge matter when say concern the commission of crimes against humanity and war crimes under Article 7 of 8 of the Rome Statutes. The report when say shows say Nigeria day among the countries under phase 3 examination of the office of the prosecutor. It add their latest update when say they call subject matter assessment. And I say it don't carry the number of matter when say involve Nigeria from 8 go 10. For the 10 matter when we say don't they under the ICC examination, 7 of them are Boko Haram and 3 are for Nigeria security forces. To know the importance of education, that the wish of every parent to give their pikin for the best of education. Even when we say they no fit pay parents, even though they no fit pay, parents they work hard to give their pikin good educate. But for papa and mama them, when we say they no fit give their pikin quality educate, that they use what they get to give their pikin them. As schools they ready to start again for the country, after the long Christmas and New Year holiday, papa and mama them, they do shopping for their pikin. Plus TV Africa yarn with Abiso Adepoju, when we say be sabi person for pikin matter and chief consultant.
They need to check that they have all the supplies that their kids will need for school, so school bags, lunch boxes, things like that. They would also need to make sure that their uniforms, their shoes, their socks, things like that are in place. Their meal timetable, if they're not taking school lunch, have they set out a meal plan for the week? Have they set out what they would eat, what they would take to school? Have they sorted out transportation? Who will drop them, who will pick them up? Have they put plans in place for when the kids are done from school, homework, things like that? Do they have after-school activities? Parents should take time out during the first week of school to go in and talk to the teachers, the school administrator, head of school, just to find out what the curriculum is about for that term, what the children would be learning. They should also have a one-on-one conversation with the teacher. So go over the child's last term report and, pick out areas which you were not happy with and discuss with the teacher that, okay, I feel we can have a bit more improvement in this area, and then work out a plan with the teacher.
And she's still young for how the Nigeria education system take the and what the government need to do.
The government is not doing a lot of things right when it comes to education. Over the past year, I've been opportune to visit a few schools in Lagos State, and the state of these schools are nothing to write home about. First of all, the infrastructure. You can go into a school and you see that the roof is leaking, the classes are not conducive enough for students. The government should provide more trainings for teachers. You can't just employ anybody to be a teacher. I mean, we know that now the cutoff mark to study education in university in Nigeria has dropped significantly, and it shouldn't be so, because teachers have an important role to play. So the government should also give the teachers more resources to teach with, because if they have limited or no resources, there's no way that they can teach effectively and for the children to understand what is being taught.
All right, the news will continue after the chicken break. We'll not go anywhere. The American military talk say they don't kill 3 people for one jihadist biggie when say happen for one military base inside Kenya on Sunday. When one U.S. service member and 2 civilian defense contractors take joint body. General Stephen Townsend, he sent the organ of the U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, talk after jihadists from Somalia Al-Shabaab group. When say they show the base inside the Lamu region, say their prayers they with the families and friends of their teammates when say they lost their lives today. AFRICOM say 2 other Department of Defense people wound for the brigade for the camp, Simba, and they not talk the people when they say they kill. The Ethiopian parliament late last week approved amendment for the country anti-terrorist legislation. The new version get better language past the old one. When say activists and human for this section, they don't use what people talk for the past to censor opposition party there. The government says 7 Pekin and 4 women, they are among 14 civilians when say they kill when say one roadside bomb take blow their boss inside northwestern Burkina Faso. They say now 14 people die and say 19 more people wound, and 3 of them matter serious for Saturday blast. One security person said the explosion happened inside Sero province near the Mali border as students in Shobag go school after the Christmas holidays. The motor hit one homemade bomb for the 20 Togan road. Nobody does say that they do the waka, but they don't somehow blame for jihadists of Burkina Faso head. Saying that they do the big website linked to both Al-Qaeda and Islamic State groups. The next one, foreign news.
Frenemies, even strange bedfellows.
They say they don't call Iraq parliament on Sunday for U.S. and other foreign troops to come out as wala. That they plenty against the U.S. When we say the K1 top Iranian general and Oga President Donald Trump, that they ginger for threat to target Iranian cultural sites if Tehran do anyhow. Because of the big when we say don't put fear for the Ubunga Middle East wala, Iran does say that they take another step back from the commitment under one 2015 nuclear deal with 6 major powers. They killed Iran Ubunga General Qasem Soleimani on Friday for one U.S. drone strike when we say go hitting convoy for Baghdad airport. When we say be one attack when we say carry U.S.-Iranian hostilities enter another palaver. One Iranian government minister is somehow accused for Trump had say now terrorists when we say we quote after the U.S. president sent plenty Twitter posts on Saturday as he threatened to hit 52 Iranian sites when we say target better area of Iranian culture if Tehran began Americans or U.S. asset to fight back as Soleimani don't die. Iran don't declare say they're not going to follow any of the waka when we say the 2015 nuclear deal put for their head to stop them. For 1 year needs, they say they're not going to observe falling hand for enrichment and the level of enrichment, the stock of enriched material, or research and develop. The announcement followed one meeting of the Iranian cabinet inside Tehran. Tension don't dey high as U.S. killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani inside Baghdad. Report from Baghdad say they target the U.S. Embassy compound on Sunday evening. One person tell the BBC say they don't launch 4 rounds of indirect fire go the direction of the embassy, but no report of say person die, it don't die. One German government talk man, he said the Oga of Germany, France, and Britain on Sunday don't agree say they go work to stop the palaver for the Middle East when say they get high tension because of the U.S. drone strike when say Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. The talk man say the Chancellor, the French President, and the British Prime Minister don't agree to work together to reduce tension for the region. after Germany Angela Merkel yarn with France Emmanuel Macron and Britain Boris Johnson for phone. 2 lawmakers inside Venezuela don't declare themselves as parliamentary speaker after one wahala day for the country politics. US-backed opposition Oga Juan Guaido and rivals Luis Parra don't claim say they be Speaker of the National Assembly on Sunday. Guaido want to say they look say they go re-elect him for the post. He said police stop him, make him not enter parliament. Remember say last January, Guaido called himself Venezuela president. When we say one move, when we say they backed by almost 60 countries when the US and UK joined after Chihuahua President Nicolas Maduro 2018 re-election. In position for the head of the opposition led the National Assembly, now the grand one say take claim say he be Venezuela Oga of state. But after 1 year of waka to pursue Oga President Maduro come out from share, he done the struggle to maintain unity among the opposition. The next one, now our business news. Onto business, they say organized labor industrialist and civil rights joint body on Sunday. He say when we say the federal government then take carry electricity money go up, say the thing don't make sense. Labor do they won't cry for the electricity money when we say go up as daylight robbery as the reason the poor power supply for the country. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry for their part, para for the federal government say they carry the money of light go up and they not they do anything for the plenty bill when we say that the distribution companies they give people to pay. The Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission be done on Saturday, tell the 11 electricity distribution, the companies for the country, but they carry their light money go up from April. One torchlighting of the latest Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, it shows that the federal government don't join body and don't carry the money of light when so the major class of powers consumers go up. Customers for RO3 category under Ikeja Disco, when say that they pay 26.5 naira per kilowatt, go start to pay 36.45 per kilowatt, starting from April. When say it should say it go up with 9.99 naira. Commercial customers for C3 category under this disco, when say that they pay 24.63 naira per kilowatt, go start to pay 38.41 naira per kilowatt. When say stand for the one when say take go up, go 13.78 naira. Industrial customers for D3 category, when we say Ikeja Disco they serve, when we say that they pay 25.82 naira per kilowatt, and now go start to pay 38.85 naira per kilowatt. When we say stand for the one when we say that they carry and go up with 13.03 naira with orders. Meanwhile, customers for Ibadan, Kano, and Port Harcourt Discos, when we say that they pay 29.17 naira per kilowatt, 24.43 naira per kilowatt, and 27.49 naira per kilowatt, go start to pay 44.66 naira per kilowatt, 42.63 naira per kilowatt, and 48.39 naira per kilowatt from April as it is hot. All right, still ahead of Top Plus TV Africa is our roundup for entertainment and sport with the show back.
We do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, they go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Onto entertainment, they say Ellen DeGeneres, the stand-up comedian who say make plenty people know gay people, as one of the most popular people for television, received 1 Golden Globes Lifetime Achievement Award on Sunday. The jury is the second person when say they will give the Carol Burnett Award. When say the Hollywood Foreign Press joint body do 1 year when say don't pass to make people know the new golden age of television for the United States. The jury say they're happy for the people when say that they watch a new talk show and when say the show can ginger and associate support people for their own lifetime. All right, that one for entertainment. The next one now for sport. And on the sport, they say Nigeria winger Henry Onyekuru, he don't join Turkish Super League champions Galatasaray for 1 6-month loan deal from French club AS Monaco. Onyekuru spent last season for loan with Fatah Terim. Men OMC has scored 14 goals for 31 league appearances. Then Galatasaray, he failed for their bid to sign the Nigeria international for 1 permanent deal last summer, and instead he linked up with Monaco for £12.5 million. He can't fail to secure regular play time for the Monaco OMC make just 4 league appearances. Then Onyekuru will wear number 40 jersey for the club. Great Britain come up body from 1 early waka for the joint body of tennis professional cup as Jamie Murray and Joe Salisbury win the decisive doubles to get 1 comeback win for Belgium head. After Britain lost to Bulgaria for their opening tie on Friday, they go down come out the team from the inaugural 24-nation tournament if Murray and Salisbury lost their rubber against Gill and Billie Jean. With the time when we say they don't lock for 1-1 and 1 win when we say and Britain hopes to reach the quarterfinals, Murray and Salisbury win 6-3, 7-6 against Belgian pair Sander Gille and Jordan Bliegen. Dan Evans, he kept the British bid alive as a beat world number 11, David Goffin. That one showed face after Cameron Norrie he lost for 2 sets to veteran Steve Dassis. All right, now what we get from the top this very o'clock for News on the Hour for Plus TV Africa. For better and plenty information, you can follow us at Plus TV Africa for Facebook, for Twitter, and for Instagram. And it will make sense when I subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We will still the summer and plenty other to read them as time they go. My name, I promise, Nero. And I thank now so that they join us on well done.
Beautiful, classic, yet simple. That's the quickest description of the Nigerian flag, adjudged to be one of the finest in Africa. It takes a square shape.
Natural wealth, while the white symbolizes.
This is by no means looking like the presidential villa, but this is the home of the designer of the Nigerian flag, Pa Taiwo Akinkunmi.
Michael Taiwo Akinkunmi is 83. He lives in the ancient city of Ibadan. It's 60 years after he designed the flag. Some would call him a genius, others would call him a hero. But this graduate of Norwood Technical College, London, chooses to call him. His initial design had an image of a radiating sun.
To win the advertisement for the design of the flag for use in the independence celebration.
How much was he paid for the flag?
I had a price of about £100 for winning the competition.
As common with old people, Pa Michael Akinkunmi's memory is failing him, but interestingly, he still remembers how to sing the national anthem.
So compatriot, Nigeria's called obey to serve our fatherland with love and arms and praise, a nation over. Heroes shall never be in vain
to serve with heart and mind. One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Away from the initial £100, that is 42,000 naira back in the days, and a national honor, what else has the flag designer received from the government of Nigeria? Young Akinkunmi is Partaiwo's son. He says his father hasn't enjoyed much from the government except for a lifetime salary given to him by the past PDP administration.
During the past regime of the, what's it called, Jonathan, actually, they gave him National Award, OFR, Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, and it placed him on a monthly salary. So that was what Goodluck Jonathan did then for him. So, and this present government, they are trying their best. Let me just put it that way. And God continues to strengthen them.
As the nation turns 59 and Nigerians celebrate another independence, there are expectations that notable Nigerians who played commendable roles in Nigeria's history will be more appreciated. However, the octogenarian sends his felicitations to Nigerians world over.
I am Taiwo Akinkunmi, the designer of the Nigerian flag used for the independence celebration of the country, and I wish all our sundry happy independence.
Mary Chinda for Plus TV Africa.
Hello and welcome to Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. In the studio with me is Tade Fayomi. Tade is a consultant and a corporate riser. She started her career as a summer intern at Goldman Sachs, where she worked for 8 years in New York, London, Singapore, and Dubai offices. Tade will be joining Boston Consulting Group soon. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio, Tade.
Very glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited you're here because, I mean, when it comes to your career trajectory, one would think you're probably 50 because you've done so much within such a short time. I want you to tell us about your story.
Well, it wasn't planned, I have to say that. It was really just me starting off from when I was in university, really wanting to work hard to achieve what I thought I wanted to achieve, essentially. So even right from the first year of university, getting an internship on Wall Street and working my way up, networking with people, figuring out, oh, what does she do? What does he do? How can I do that? What do I need to do at school to get there? What do I need to do during the summer internships to get there? And that's really how it started. And that's how I was able to, like you say, build that career over those 8 years, working at an investment bank, dabbling into a few different things before I realized that I love talking to people. I love working with clients. I also want to have exposure to the markets. I like the investment side. I found a role that kind of merged the two, which I thought were my strengths at the time. And I just took it from there, really. And that's how it all happened. Promotions along the way, which was great. More exposure, more responsibilities. And yeah, that's pretty much my story, I have to say.
So was it, when you say you were being very intentional, did you already have it figured out, all planned out somewhere in your book, written down, so this is what I'm going to do when I'm this, when I'm that? I mean, you started at age 18. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Well, it wasn't. I wish there was a book. If there's a book out there that can help me plan the next decade, that would be great. But it was literally, I got to school. I didn't know much about investment banking. My mom works in finance, so I had a little bit of an idea of the kinds of companies that were out there. And then at university, I was told that this is what graduates want to do. They want to work work at Wall Street. I looked at people who came back on campus to recruit, and I thought, I like what they do, I like who they are and what they represent. How can I do that? And so at the time, actually, my freshman year, it was a competition that one freshman would get an internship on Wall Street. Working at Goldman Sachs. And at the time, people, I think they wanted to go to the beach, go on nice summer holidays. And I just thought to myself, this is gold. It's literally an opportunity that's ours to lose. And so that's how I got that first opportunity working in New York. It was like a dream at the time. I really enjoyed it. I worked hard, I have to say. And then after that, I could say, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And that's how I did 2 internships in New York, the last one in London. And then I decided that I wanted to move to London full-time. I really liked the team that I interned with, and that's how I kicked off my career full-time when I had graduated from university. And even then, while I was there, I would raise my hand for opportunities that came my way. And I really became the right-hand woman to my managers at the time, which is why they were able to trust me and give me the kinds of roles that typically somebody at my level would not get. So when I was an analyst, I was easily doing the role of an associate. And by the time I was an associate, I was doing the roles of a vice president. And I think you have to act for the job that you want. And they could tell, my managers could tell that I was doing it far beyond my current role, and they should promote me and reward me and recognize what I was working on. So that's how it happened. At the time, I wasn't thinking, be strategic, do this or do that, but it was me also thinking, okay, I'm sat here, there are 300 people around me. Do they know who I am? Do they have a good understanding of what I'm working on? What's my brand on the floor? And that's how I would go about doing that. From having coffees and lunches with people across the floor to volunteering and saying, oh, can I assist you with that? Or this is how we did it on the other team. And even reaching out outside of our office in terms of I would call Singapore and say, oh, I understand you have a client that's similar to ours. How were you able to do that? Could you please share best practices? And from there, they thought, oh, wow, there's this young woman in London who thinks that we have... I made it, yeah, exactly. That's how it happened. And it was through that network that I got the opportunity to actually work in Singapore, to work in Dubai as well. So it wasn't strategic at the time. It was me just doing my best, enjoying what I'm doing.
Coming all out every time you
exactly, and it really paid, it rewarded me along the way.
I mean, this is very inspiring. However, we find out these days, you see, I mean, it's not just these days, but it's been like that for a long time. You find a lot of young people being very confused about what it is they want to do with their lives. Where are they getting it wrong?
Where are they getting it wrong?
Or are they getting it...
I don't think they're getting it wrong. Because me too, I wasn't always as determined or very clear in terms of this is where I want to be at this given time. But at the same time, that's not an excuse to not do anything. And I think that's a little bit of the reason why some young people are where they're at, because they're looking for this dream job and they're not going to do something else in the meantime until they find it. I didn't know I was destined to work in asset management, advising clients on Japanese equities or bonds in Argentina, things like that. I had no idea when I was in university, but I knew I liked talking to people. I liked to give advice. I liked mentoring. That's something that I was involved in as well outside of my day-to-day, so to speak. And that's how it just kind of went from there. And whatever I was doing, I did it to my best. I would give 110%, which is also something that when I talk to young people and advise them, because they might not like a particular role, then they zone off. They get to work and they're not really there. They're not present. But that's your current job. That's your current opportunity. You have to make the most of it. And then you'll be rewarded for that. At the same time, also, you have to constantly be networking and putting yourself out there. What's your brand? Who are you talking to? Who from your university, from your secondary school, even your primary school, can you reach out to connect you to a better opportunity? But in the meantime, merely you have that conversation. They'll say, what are you working on now? And if you don't have anything to answer to that, it won't lead to the next thing because you haven't built up a repertoire of things you've done well that can recommend you for the next role. So I think those are some of the reasons why some young people might be confused or not giving themselves the best opportunities to actually get what they want.
And then from all of the things you have said right now, I can tell that you're a very intentional person. Where did you pick that skill up from? How did it all come about?
I have to say it is a combination of things, really. First and foremost, when I think about that, definitely from my parents. So my mom is a businesswoman, like I mentioned before, and my dad is more into history and politics, but both of them have built up strong careers while they were working. And especially my mom, who's quite tenacious, she always believes that the worst that can happen is somebody says no. So why don't you put yourself out there? If they say no, if they don't respond to the email, that's fine, you move on. And I think that spirit has really helped me over time to make sure that I always do things as best as possible. And I put myself out there. I send an email, I say, I'm interested in doing that. Could I run that? I have an idea for something. Sometimes they say, oh, that's great, and they never get back to you. And then for some of my ideas, they've said, oh, that's amazing. These are the resources you need. This is the budget you need. Why don't you do that? And that is a win-win for me and the company or whatever institution I'm working at. So I would say that has definitely influenced me, and also my ambition, because I know where I want to get to. And so that's what gives me the drive to keep going in terms of where do I want to be in 2 years, in 5 years, and what's required for me to get there. And so even when I'm tired, it's super late at night, I'm at work, but I know, Tade, this is where you want to go, this is what you need to do, and that keeps me going. That gives me that, that motivation.
I feel like that's a very important conversation to have. Some people struggle with knowing what they want to do in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So that clarity is very important. But we'll continue the conversation after this break.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a quick break now. You're still watching Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. All right, thank you for staying with us. We've been speaking with Tade Fayomi. Tade, thank you for still being with us here in the studio. All right, before we went on the break, we're having a conversation about how intentional you should be in terms of your career trajectory and the fact that people find it very difficult to set and outline these plans. How are you able to successfully do this?
So to successfully do this, and you mentioned even 2-year, 3-year plans, I think it's very important to have a vision. Where are you trying to get to? And what is practical in actually getting there? So we've all heard about SMART goals, but how many people actually take the time to make sure that where they're trying to be is something that they can achieve? So that's very clear. And I think also being honest with yourself about what your strengths and weaknesses are. That's something I've always known about myself, is that I love talking to people. I love building relationships. And I've looked for jobs and opportunities that gives me the opportunity to put that in the limelight, so to speak, so that I can shine, I can do well, I can get rewarded for that, rather than willingly taking a job in things that I know I'm going to be challenged with, it's not going to work out so well. So I think that's really key as well as people make their plans, and then also leveraging their network, their stakeholders, or what I like to call their personal board of directors. That's super, that's played a big part in my career trajectory as well. A lot of the opportunities I've had is because of the people that I've known along the way. And lastly,
and help us understand, before we move deep into it, help us understand when you say stakeholders, ideally these are names or terms that you use in the business world, right?
Yeah.
But then people don't understand that you can also have stakeholders as an individual.
Exactly.
Help us understand what that means.
I mean, you are the CEO of yourself. You are
of
your business,
life.
of your life, exactly. And so the stakeholders, I like to think of them as mentors, which everybody knows about. You have them at work or outside of work, sponsors as well, people who actually have the ability to take you from point A to point B and have invested into your career, as well as people who you admire. So there are some people on my board of directors who I've never actually even met in person, but I've seen them from afar, I've read their bios, I've looked at their own career trajectory, and I love what they do. I want to emulate them. For example, somebody like Mrs. Awashika, that's somebody where I know she's very popular in Nigeria. Whenever she has an event, I try to attend them because they are words of wisdom that I can apply to my life. And so she's influencing my career without her knowing it. So when I think about all those people, I write them out. I'm one of those people that I like to write things out because it keeps me focused. And then I know, okay, how often have I met with this person, with that person? Who do I need to update? Let them know that I want exposure into emerging markets. And then I speak to somebody, I schedule a call, they introduce me to somebody else. And then they start to make things work out for me. I can bounce ideas off of them. I can talk to them about my challenges. I can talk to them about my plans. And I think that's so important because honestly, we can't do this ourselves. No matter how much you think, yeah.
I feel like the next most important thing we're here to do in life is to make adequate and proper connections with people, right?
Definitely, definitely so. And strong connections as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being very strategic about the kind of connections that you make. Well, while people would watch and say to themselves, oh my God, she's living a very perfect life, I know that there's no one who has not made one mistake or the other in terms of their career trajectory and their growth and whatever successes they have on their plate right now. So what are those mistakes that you'd say you've made along the way?
Quite a few, actually, quite a few mistakes. One of them that comes to mind that I made very early on in my career as well was when I was a new analyst working at the bank. I had built up a little bit of a relationship with the client over email. And so my manager at the time asked me to work on a massive spreadsheet. It was a request for new business. And I thought I knew what I was doing. And I did it really quickly and I sent it off to the client. And immediately after I hit the send button, I realized that I had put all of the numbers in thousands rather than millions.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
You lose your job.
Thankfully, I didn't lose my job. But there was that moment of, do I just pretend nothing has happened or do I own up to it immediately? And immediately, I mean, I wasn't that confident at the time, so I couldn't say it in front of everybody. But I'd asked him, could we please go into an office? And then I immediately told him, I've just looked back at the spreadsheets and I didn't notice that all of the numbers were supposed to be actual numbers. I've made a huge mistake. It was multiple tabs. And he laughed it off and said he'll call the client. And then the client said, that's all right. I know you're a new analyst. Everybody makes mistakes. But definitely it's things like that that have happened along the way. And because you're learning as well, right? And even later on.
Give yourself some room for mistakes.
Give yourself some room for mistakes, definitely. And then also own up to them. Especially as a new joiner, the things that were put on me as the most important was accuracy. People oftentimes put speed as more important than accuracy, but it's important that your work is flawless because that allows you to build that reputation of somebody that they can rely on. Not somebody where once they give you an email or a report, you have to check over it before it sends out. That just wastes time. That's something that I had to learn the hard way, a little bit embarrassing way as well. But that was one of those big mistakes that really taught me that lesson. And even later on in my career, years later, another mistake that I made over a period of time actually, when I had been working at the bank for, I think it was 6 years or so, I was looking after a new region. I had stopped asking for help and support along the way because I think I got very comfortable with what I was doing. I thought I knew this, I knew the game, I was in it for quite a while.
That happens to a lot of people.
I think that happens to a lot of people, and you kind of just become complacent, exactly. That's what happened. And before I realized that some of the mistakes I was making was just so classic. It was the kinds of things that would happen to a woman who's trying to be more senior and thinks that she can do it all by herself, and she actually needs some support. And so that was something that I realized that it came through my performance review, one of the informal ones where my manager had said that I wasn't carrying myself as senior with some of these clients. They kept on reaching out to him because they thought that he was the one looking after them rather than myself. And I realized that's something where if I had called my mentors at work, other senior women, they could easily have said, Tade, do this next time, do this, just to change the perception. So there have been quite a few mistakes along the way, but I just see them as an opportunity to grow. And once you make a mistake once, the chances of you making them again are very, very rare, hopefully. You learn from them, yeah.
Did you ever have issues where you had to rebrand yourself? So maybe you were putting yourself behind at some point, and then at some other point you said to yourself, you know what, I need to be at the forefront of my game.
Yes, definitely. That happened to me quite a bit. And I think it's something that happens to a lot of women. I was working very hard, like I said, and I wasn't telling people about the work I was doing. I was just at my desk, constantly my head down, typing away, working late at night, and people didn't know what I was doing. Whereas my counterparts, the typical alpha male, so to speak, they were leaving voicemails, calling people, walking into the MD's office to say, hey, this is what I worked on. And I would think, why would you do that? But then I realized actually I was the one suffering for it. So I had to pause and re-strategize what the game plan was. And I purposefully started setting up update meetings. So with my manager, I said, even though you literally sit right across me, can we talk about what I'm working on a weekly basis? Not that I wanted her to micromanage me, but I wanted her to know what I'm working on, my achievements. With the more senior people, I put in monthly and quarterly updates.
Don't assume that they know.
Don't assume that they know. And that really came around when it was time for promotions. Because you just assume that they know that you want to be promoted. And when I finally sat down with my manager and I told her, I'm looking at making vice president by this point, she said, okay, I'm surprised, but let's work towards that. Why don't you tell my boss? And I thought, duh, wouldn't he guess that all of us here are trying to get promoted? And when I finally told him, he said he didn't know. And I was in shock, but I was glad that I actually scheduled that meeting to say, I want to get promoted by the end of the year. We have 10 months. What can we do? Because it's a joint effort. It's not just me. All of the stakeholders are involved in your promotion. And so that really helped. So that was something that I learned, thankfully, quite early on, that as much as we put in a lot of emphasis on working hard, we also need to put emphasis on actually telling people what you're doing. So it's one hand to be networking with people. It's another thing to actually be letting them know, this is what I did last quarter, this is what I did last year, this is what I plan to do next year. It's gone really well. I delivered X. We were able to grow the business by Y. Things like that.
All right, then we're going to take our next break, but then this has been a very interesting conversation.
Definitely.
All right, we're still speaking with Tade Fayomi. Please take a quick break now to stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're still talking to Tade Fayomi. All right, Tade, you are a management consultant. It's it sounds fancy. Is it really fancy? Is it easy? Is it difficult?
If you love traveling around and spending time in nice hotels and many, many flights, maybe it would sound fancy. And attractive. Because for a lot of people, that's why they're in it. But I think it's quite a tough job, to be honest. It's a lot of hours that are involved, but it's also a lot of very interesting work. Like I said, I like talking to people. I like helping them. And I thought to myself, what can I do to help businesses grow? That's what led me to consulting. And in terms of what was required, what I needed to do to actually get this job, I would say that you have to be very good at problem solving. So are you the type of person, for me, when I walk into a restaurant or an establishment, I'm always thinking to myself, how can we get another table in here? How can this be more efficient? How can this be faster? That's what I'm curious about. What's the CEO doing right now? How can we have 2 branches of this? I'm just curious about how can businesses essentially do better? That's what drives me. And I think that's the kind of mindset that people have to have if they're interested in that. I'm not even looking forward to the traveling, to be honest. Trying to stay local as much as possible, but making sure that I'm still impacting my clients, because for me, that's what's most important at the end of the day. That's what I enjoy doing. It goes back to what you really enjoy. Yeah.
I know that you have other passions aside from consulting. Yeah. How are you able to fit them with all of the many things you need to do at your job?
I think it comes back to being intentional. So what I've done in this instance was between business school and when work starts, I put in...
Meanwhile, congratulations on your graduation at INTIAD.
Thank you very much. I scheduled a 6-month sabbatical for myself.
6 months?
6 months, yes. Which a lot of people might not have the time for. But I thought to myself, I'm passionate about working with women, working with businesses. If I don't put the time in my calendar to actually do that, it's not going to happen. And so that's why I was able to allocate that time towards it. And that's really given me a lot of time to spend with people who are working on startups, on new businesses, young women who want career advice, who have a lot of questions, who want to know how can they go about doing this or doing that. Because it's difficult if you say you're going to do it.
But do you do all of these things for free?
Some of them. Not all of them.
I mean, for the young people, you probably would want to do it for free,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. So speaking at conferences and then follow-ups after that, people ask for my card, for my Instagram or my email address, whatever the case may be.
Just
and then
in case there's somebody that wants a free consulting service, what's your Instagram account?
Okay, it's at powerwomen.project.
Okay.
So that's my platform for basically working with young people and young businesses, so to speak, to help them grow. So maybe, I was going to say feel free, but DM me, visit the page and see if you'll be interested in that. But I really, again, it was coming down to being intentional. I made myself available. People approached me about speaking at different conferences, and I said, this is the space I want to be in. There's no point saying I'm passionate about empowering women if I spend 30 minutes a month. To me, it's more than that. It's actually spending the time having them on my WhatsApp so that when they see a role, they can message me and say, Tade, what do you think about this? Do you have time for a quick call? And I can actually make myself available to them. For businesses, it's a little bit more complicated, but at the same time, I make time over the weekends to sit down and say, okay, let me have a quick look at your pitch deck. What can we change? What's better here? Things like that. But those are things that I'm passionate about. I eventually want them to be my day job, so to speak. And if I don't actually spend enough time in it, the two are never going to merge. Yeah.
All right, so how far would you say the average lady does in terms of climbing up the career ladder?
Wow. Well, I don't have the stats on that. What I think for a woman at any stage in her career, there's a lot of room for growth. We can definitely be better. And at the same time, I think that organizations and the men in the corporate world, they've started waking up to the fact that maybe there are not as many women that there needs to be. And some policies are changing, some companies are shifting their attitudes, but there's still so much room to actually do more. But at the same time, women tend to be more, they lack confidence compared to men. And so it's they themselves that are actually limiting themselves. Just like I mentioned earlier, when I compared me to my colleague, Matthew, at the time, Matthew was all over the place. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, he just walks up to the MD's office, he signs up for things, and I think, how does he have the time to do this? He volunteers to do things, he's always talking, telling people what he's working on, even before he's actually getting started. Whereas women, until you've done the job complete, before you actually tell your manager, until you check every box for the requirements before you apply. There are so many ways that we limit ourselves without even giving them the chance. So even though the company might have given you the chance to succeed, your mind is doing that for you. It's limiting you.
You need to open your mind up as well.
Exactly, yes. And we need to build our self-esteem, build our confidence. I think that's so important. And that's the reason why many people, many women aren't as successful in the workplace as they should. That's definitely one of the reasons, yeah. And there's so many resources out there. So I love to read and listen to books. And from each one, either it's power posing, where you do the have you heard of that? Where you do the Superman pose in a corner before a meeting, because apparently scientifically it makes you more confident if you stand like Wonder Woman or Superman.
Does that work?
There's a whole book about it. I think it's called Power Posing. But there are all these books that are coming up now, and thought processes in terms of how we can build confidence, how we can communicate more eloquently, things like that to help you.
Because some women actually have these things, but they probably don't know how to communicate effectively.
Exactly. It's so key. I'm actually giving a presentation next week on communication to a group of entrepreneurs. Because especially their startups, they need funding. If you're not able to communicate your story to investors, you're not getting that funding, no matter how great the business model is. And it's so important. And if you've been from childhood in a home where you've been told to keep quiet until you're spoken to, or you're schooling, so many different factors are involved in terms of why we don't speak up. But we need to speak up. Every job at the end of the day comes to some element of sales. And selling yourself, your ideas.
True.
I think that's so important for success in the corporate world and beyond.
All right, and finally, before I let you go, what would your final advice be to those young people out there who really want to do something good with themselves in terms of their career trajectory? They don't just want to stay in one place 10, 15 years.
Okay, my final pieces of advice, if I may.
Just give us all of them.
Just give them all of them. I would say research and prepare. Okay. Read. Be on the internet doing something productive and learn about what you're interested in and how you can get there. Like I said before, that's even reading the bios of people, how do they get there 20 years forward, and look to copy that, so to speak. Secondly, I would say is network, like we talked about earlier. You don't know who your friends' parents may be. You don't know who are the people at church or in your extracurricular activities that can actually be 2 or 3 degrees away from your dream job. And lastly, I would say work hard. There's no easy way out. Oftentimes, millennials are likened to people who are a little bit entitled. They don't want to work as hard. They feel our generation can be quite relaxed about these things. But at the end of the day, there's no good job that doesn't require you doing an excellent job. I think those would be my few pieces of advice for young people in starting up their careers.
All right, great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, I hope you did have fun and then you learned one thing or two for your careers. If for more educative and informative conversations of this nature, do follow us on Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all on Plus TV Africa. I still remain your host, Irene Ubani. Until next time, bye.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye. Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, by no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild.
This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Many thanks for joining us on News of the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here's some of the stories making the headlines. The People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has described President Muhammadu Buhari's comment on overseas treatment as self-indicting and raises public apprehensions on high-level deceits in governance. The PDP said the comment is ridiculous owing to what they say that President Buhari leads on the medal table of persons who patronize foreign hospitals for treatment and even checkups. PDP National Publicity Secretary Kola Ologbodiyan on Sunday said the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has failed to provide adequate health care in the country, stressing that he cannot turn around to preach to other citizens against foreign treatment. The party decried the budgetary allocation for health care since the APC took over administration in the country, stressing that 427.3 billion naira captured in the 2020 budget cannot meet the needs of over 186 million Nigerians. Pastor Tunde Bakare, founder of Citadel Global Church, yesterday charged President Muhammadu Buhari to chart a new course and build a legacy that will facilitate the emergence of a better Nigeria. He stressed that providing strong leadership, determining the most pertinent objectives of nation building, and converging all the energies of the state into critical areas should be the president's first crucial agenda in the next 3 years of his administration. Bakare explained that providing strong leadership means result-oriented governance in which people, policies, programs and processes of government are retained only to the extent that they contribute to productivity in the country. He stated this in his 2020 State of the Nation address titled Unveiling the True Enemies of Nigeria at the church headquarters in Ogba, Lagos State. Anti-security matters, the Inspector General of Police IGP Mohammed Adamu yesterday placed police commands and formations nationwide on the red alert. He said the measure was taken after intelligence reports showed that some domestic interests were planning to embark on massive public disturbances and sabotage. The move came in reaction to the recent killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani by the United States of America. Consequently, zonal AIGs and command commissioners of police have been directed to ensure maximum surveillance and security of life and property across the nation. The police commanders have been directed to ensure strategic deployment of both overt and covert police operatives to ensure adequate security and safety of citizens, foreigners, especially diplomats and diplomatic missions domiciled in Nigeria, as well as the protection of critical national assets. The IGP assured Nigerians and foreigners resident in the country of adequate security and warned all troublemakers to stay clear of the streets and territory of Nigeria. Besides, the Global Action for Peace, GAP, has alerted the USA and Britain to the safety of its citizens in Nigeria following threats of attack by the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, IMN. The Islamic sect had hinted on an impending attack on foreigners after a military action by the United States of America led to the death of top Iranian military commander General Soleimani in Iran. The presidency on Sunday asked Nigerians not to panic over the withdrawal of 1,200 Chadian troops from the Lake Chad Basin bordering the country. It said the withdrawal was in line with the mandate of the Multinational Joint Task Force, MNJTF, launched in July 2016 and due to end on December 31, 2019. It said Nigeria will be sending troops to Chad as part of a new concept against the Boko Haram insurgency. In line with the scope of the Multinational Joint Task Force, the 1,200 troops were recalled on Friday from a part of the Northeast. Following their withdrawal, many Nigerians in Borno State started fleeing the areas managed by the Chadian troops. The operation was estimated to have cost African-EU partnership about €50 million and the UK about £5 million. The International Criminal Court has said it has extended its preliminary examinations as possible war crimes and crimes against humanity in Nigeria to cover the clashes between Nigerian soldiers and members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria. The ICC is also extending the examinations to the clashes between the Nigerian soldiers and the separatist group, the indigenous people of Biafra. The ICC disclosed this in its 2019 edition of the Annual Report of Preliminary Examination Activities issued by the Office of its Prosecutor. The report dated December 5, 2019 indicated that preliminary examination of the situation in Nigeria was announced on November 18, 2010. It noted that the Office of the ICC Prosecutor on November 12, 2015 identified 8 potential cases involving the commission of crimes against humanity and war crimes under Articles 7 and 8 of the Roman Statutes. The report, which stated that Nigeria was among the countries under Phase 3 examination by the Office of the Prosecutor, added that its latest updated subject matter assessment had increased the number of potential cases involving Nigeria from 8 to 10. Of the 10 cases now under ICC preliminary examination, 7 of them are for Boko Haram and 3 for the Nigerian security forces. Now, still in the news and to other matters, the organized labor, industrialist and civil rights groups on Sunday condemned the hike in electricity tariffs by the federal government. Labour has described the electricity tariff hike as a daylight robbery, considering the epileptic power supply in the country. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, on its part, berated the federal government for increasing the tariffs and doing nothing about estimated billing by distribution companies. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission had on Saturday directed the 11 electricity distribution companies in the country to increase their tariffs beginning from April. An analysis of the latest Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission directive shows that the federal government agency has actually increased tariffs payable by all the major classes of power consumers. Residential customers in the R3 category on the Ikeja Disco, who currently pay 26 naira 5 kobo per kilowatt, will start paying 36 naira 49 kobo per kilowatt beginning from April, indicating an increase of 9.99. Commercial customers in the C3 category under this disco, who currently pay 24 naira 63 kobo per kilowatt, will start paying 38 naira 41 kobo per kilowatt, representing a hike of 13 naira 78 kobo. Industrial customers in the D3 category served by Ikeja Disco, who pay 28 naira 82 kobo per kilowatt currently, will start paying 33 naira 85 kobo per kilowatt, representing an increase of 13 naira 3 kobo, among others. Meanwhile, residential customers of Ibadan, Kano and Port Harcourt discos who currently pay 29 naira 17 kobo per kilowatt, 24 naira 43 kobo per kilowatt and 27 naira 49 kobo per kilowatt will from April start paying 44 naira 66 kobo per kilowatt, 42 naira 63 kobo per kilowatt and 48 naira 39 kobo per kilowatt, respectively. Now, joining us on the telephone is Kayode Ekundayo, an analyst at Energy Times. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Rather, good afternoon. Labour and other groups. You're welcome. Labour and other groups have described the hike in electricity tariffs as daylight robbery. Do you agree? What's your take on this?
Okay, thank you. Let me start this way. It's a bitter pill that all Nigerians must swallow. For a very long time now, even since privatization, the privatized sector has been agitating for reflective tariff. And no, federal government, since beginning of this current administration, had bailed out the GENCO and DISCO with over 1 trillion naira, which is very, very unacceptable in a privatized system. But unfortunately, we have it in Nigeria. Now, if we look at the price in 2015, during the election, a cost was introduced, but because of the political in-tone, it was reversed. And since then, we've been having challenges over what will be the cost-reflective price for the consumers. And what the federal government and what the NEC stated in the new proposed increase, it stated that it will start from April this year. And what I really want Nigerians to know is that we cannot continue and sustain power supply at the level we are today. Yes, it's going to cost an increase in inflation based on the fact that the exchange rate, coupled with the state of economy, it will have a negative effect on the consumer buying. But if we look at the cost price critically, federal government didn't say, the NEC didn't say it starts immediately. It said April, and government are going to pay from January to the start of days. Initially, it's supposed to start in January. I'm not a spokesperson for NEC, but it's something that I've been following up for a very long time. And even if you look at the current price, if you look at the household paying 10 naira for a kilowatt, it costs the generation company almost 50 naira to bring it to the discos. Who is that? Who are we deceiving? It's true that the power is not stable. And it's true that not everybody are on the paid meter. These are all what we expect the discos to have tackled. But unfortunately, they couldn't do that. To me, what I expect the federal government to have done is to make it compulsory for the disco to have meter the remaining 8 million electricity consumers in the country. But if we are waiting for that, it will take almost 3 or 4 years to do. Now, there will be a consistent complaint from the disco. So, what I will advise is that why not allow us to watch on and see what will happen from April, at least from the end of this year, and see whether the disco will live up to their expectation to do that. And if you remember, before the end of last year, that is towards the end of last year, NEC issued a statement mandating the disco to ensure the cashless policy, the system, is imbibed in their revenue collection. And that is one of the ways to ensure that the disco get what they put on the grid.
There is one issue I want to bring to your attention. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is concerned about the non-action to address estimated billing. At least that's what the papers are reporting this morning. What are the possible effects on Nigerians? So could you shed a little more light on this?
Yes. The estimated billing has been a challenge. Even me in my house, I'm on estimated billing. And this has been a major concern. And this has been the challenge which DISCO is signing away from. And that is the reason, or that was the reason why NEC licensed some meter provider. Unfortunately, some of these meter providers, because of the finance that is involved, could not meet up to support the DISCO. Some of them have to go to banks to secure funds. But unfortunately, they couldn't get the wherewithal and the collateral to secure these funds. So it's a painful thing that without meter, people will be paying high bill. I agree with SCCI, but as I said earlier on, it is a painful thing that all of us have to swallow.
Okay, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, says customers should, or rather would be the worst hit, as they will transfer the cost of manufacturing, this increased tariff to them. Let's also remember that 15 states are yet to comply with the new national minimum wage. If you put all this together and the economic realities in this country, what would you say to the federal government?
That is what I was saying. It's always unfortunate that at every point of increase in minimum wage, there is also something government will do to go with it. Already, if you know, the VAT has been increased on some of the things we are purchasing in the market. Again, the tariff is coming in. Now, with the increase in the tariff, definitely the manufacturer will want to recover cost. And one of the ways to recover cost is to increase the cost or the cost price of their products. So it's going to be a major effect on Nigerians, particularly on the poor masses. So things, as I always say, things are not really working in Nigeria. I'm sorry to say that. But there is, at this point, the power projects are in the hands of private hands too. They need to pay for the gas that they will use to power the generator that will give life to the national grid. The DISCOs too. I'm not trying to be immodest in what I'm saying. I'm just coming to reality, because we can't continue to be the same way we've been running things. Assuming in 2015, we've allowed the slight increase in the tariff to stay. Possibly, we will have adjusted and know the direction where government is really going.
I'm afraid that's all time. Hello, Kundayo. I'm afraid that's all time will let us. Thank you very much for your contributions on the news. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, an energy expert talking to us about the tariff increase we're expected to begin paying very soon. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll bring you more news here on Plus TV Africa. Just stay with us. You're watching News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. A jihadist attack on a military base in Kenya has killed 3 people on Sunday, including a U.S. service member and 2 civilian defense contractors, the American military said. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families and friends of our teammates who lost their lives today General Stephen Townsend, the head of the U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, said after jihadists from Somalia's Al-Shabaab group stormed the base in the Lamu region. 2 other Department of Defense personnel were wounded in the attack on Camp Simba. AFRICOM added in a statement which gave no details on the identity of those killed. We go to Ethiopia, where we hear the parliament late last week approved amendments to the country's controversial anti-terrorist legislation. The new version has more concise language as opposed to the old one, whose wording was criticized as vague by activists and human rights organizations. Prior to April 2018, the government normally used the law to detain and charge activists, journalists, and opposition politicians. The new test also guarantees the right of workers to strike, even if this leads them to obstructing public service, an offense previously considered terrorism. It also grants Parliament powers to identify and ban terrorist organizations, though this section, critics argue, has been used in the past to censor opposition parties. Up next is our foreign news. Iraq's parliament called on Sunday for U.S. and other foreign troops to leave as backlash grows against the U.S. killing of a top Iranian general. And President Donald Trump doubled down on threats to target Iranian cultural sites if Tehran retaliates, deepening a crisis that has heightened fears of a major Middle East conflagration. Iran said it was taking another step back from commitments under a 2015 nuclear deal with 6 major powers. Iran's most prominent general, Qasem Soleimani, was killed on Friday in a U.S. drone strike on his convoy at Baghdad airport, an attack that carried U.S.-Iranian hostilities into uncharted waters. An Iranian government minister denounced Trump as a terrorist in a suit after the U.S. president sent a series of tweet posts on Saturday threatening to hit 52 Iranian sites, including targets important to Iranian culture, if Tehran attacks America's or U.S. assets to avenge Soleimani's death. Iran has declared that it will no longer abide by any of the restrictions imposed by the 2015 nuclear deal. In a statement, it said it would no longer observe limitations on its capacity for enrichment, the level of enrichment, the stock of enriched material, or research and development. The announcement followed a meeting of the Iranian cabinet in Tehran. Tensions have been high over the killing of Iranian General Soleimani by the U.S. in Baghdad. Reports from Baghdad say the U.S. embassy compound there was targeted in an attack on Sunday evening. A source told the BBC that 4 rounds of indirect fire had been launched in the direction of the embassy. There were no reports of casualties. 2 lawmakers in Venezuela have both declared themselves parliamentary speakers after a tumultuous day in the country's politics. U.S.-backed opposition leader Juan Guaido and rival Luis Parra both claimed to be Speaker of the National Assembly on Sunday. Guaido, who was aiming to be re-elected to the post, said police stopped him from entering Parliament. Recall that late last January, Guaido announced himself Venezuela's interim president, a move that was quickly backed by almost 60 countries, including the US and UK, after disputing President Nicolas Maduro's 2018 re-election. His position at the head of the opposition-led National Assembly was the basis of his claim to be Venezuela's legitimate head of state. But after a year of failed attempts to oust President Maduro, he has been struggling to maintain unity among the opposition. Up next is our business news.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you.
while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
That money will shoot every person that we know can shoot. We don't let people die there.
You could have killed us for a long period.
And in business, power distribution companies have set a new record of 466 billion naira in their yearly revenue collection, the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors has said. ANED, which is the umbrella body for all the DISCOs, said the revenue collection rose by 10%. The DISCOs collected a total of 466 billion naira from customers from October 2018 to September 2019, compared to the 423 billion naira collected from October 2017. American singer Pink has pledged $500,000 to help those in Australia affected by the bushfires ravaging the country. Pink, whose real name is Alicia Bett Moore, expressed her devastation at the news of the fires and sprung to action by pledging a donation of $500,000 directly to the local fire services battling the fires. The national bushfire death toll reached 18 on Sunday, January 5, 2020, with more than 1,500 homes destroyed across New South Wales and Victoria. That is it on entertainment. To bring you sports news after this break. British number one Joanna Conte is out of the Brisbane International after losing in 3 sets to Barbora Strykova in the first round. World number 12 Conte, who has been battling a knee injury, forced the decider after Strykova dominated the opener, but the Czech won 6-2, 3-6, 6-3. Conte has not beaten Strykova, ranked 31st in 3 attempts, last losing in the 2019 Wimbledon quarter-final. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is also at Plus TV Africa. I'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do please join us again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for staying with us. This is One-on-One on Plus TV Africa. I'm Elsie Godwin. On this episode, we're one-on-one with an entrepreneur, philanthropist, the founder and president of Africa's Young Entrepreneurs, a non-profit organization based in South Africa, which facilitates intra-trade among African entrepreneurs in over 15 countries. Sumi Smart Francis, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so in your journey, I followed quite a bit, and one thing you keep saying is all you need to do to be successful as an entrepreneur individual is to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Does that work in Nigeria? Just believing in yourself?
Well, believing in yourself is quite deep. I think it goes far back as the world started. I think you just need to know yourself and believe in your own capabilities. And I think it works everywhere. It even works spiritually. It works in the divine atmosphere. So I would shock you. I would take you as far back as creation started.
Okay.
Can I let you know that the only creation of God that gave him a problem was the one where he had to consult people? Every other thing he did, let there be light, executive order, what happened? It happened immediately. But when he said, let us make man in our own image, when he started consulting with angels, what happened? I'm not saying consultation is not good, but I'm saying that there's so much power when you believe in what you can do by yourself and understanding that you've got everything inside of you to make everything you want happen. So it's key and critical for people to understand your strength, understand what you are able to do, and then using that executive order to get things done. So to answer your question, it happens everywhere, both on earth and in heaven.
So aside believing in yourself, what would you say an entrepreneur needs to succeed?
Of course, there's much more, a lot more than believing in yourself. I think that's just the start, you know. Once you then believe in yourself, you know yourself, then you want to go on that journey. You know what I'm saying? Let me give you an instance now. You want to go to a pretty far destination, or you want to run a marathon, and you're like, can I really do this? You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you believe in yourself, then you know that, yes, I can embark on this 10,000 kilometer stretch or something. But that doesn't mean you don't need to train, you don't need to keep fit and see your medicals and hit LD and stuff like that. So, of course, after believing in yourself, there's a lot more as an entrepreneur you need to do, which is acquisition of knowledge. It's very important that the world understands that we are moving far towards a very different age. And the global economic situation, there's a lot of different ages that existed. Basically two that we are fully aware of, which is the industrial age and also the farming age. I'm sure when we were growing up, you were hearing industries. And of course, the next thing was farming. But for over the past 2 decades, if you notice what's been happening, there's been a third age existing in the global economy. Something that new has come up. I'm sure you're aware of the age of technology. But this age is very and pretty invisible. It's an age that's driven by thoughts and knowledge. So it's safe for us to call it the creative age, the age of creativity. As an entrepreneur, you need to be very creative, because you don't need to start thinking of just yam and plantain or industries as well. You can just sit down here and look around you and start creating something that makes a lot of profit for you. Creativity, I think, is very, very key in this day and age for any entrepreneur to set out on the journey. And lastly, perseverance is also key, because what you think you would find on that journey is not what you find. Entrepreneurship is risk-taking. So it's like gambling. Nobody promises you what's going to be there. It's going to be a pretty good journey. So what you encounter, it's like marriage. Nobody promises you. Everybody has his own different story. You cannot use anybody's syllabus for yours. You can only learn from them. So when you experience your own entrepreneurial journey, there's key need for perseverance when the storm starts, because it will surely come. A lot of people run for startups and entrepreneurs. They run away from them, even the banking industry, from the public sectors, because they believe that that's a very, very sensitive and risky place to invest. And I don't blame them, because most of these startups die at a very young age. So it's very ideal that if this startup can persevere through those very first 2-3 years of their business, I can assure you that you'll be just smiling down the profit line. Okay,
let me comment there. You sit right now on an organization that connects over 12.6 million people.
That's right.
How did you start?
AYE was born out of business frustration. So it's basically looking around me and things were not working during my own entrepreneurial journey. It was so bad that and to be honest with you, I'm a Christian, so I had to consult my own divine existence to say, you know what, God, if you see me through this, I will create a platform where other young entrepreneurs across Africa won't have to go through the same thing I went through. So it's basically like a calling for me. And amazingly, God saw me through. And you know what happened? I forgot my covenant. So I didn't even remember when you get things now going for you and stuff like that. But it was on the 1st of March 2010, around the very early hours in the morning, around 2, 3 a.m., that the entire thing just came back to me and said, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Do you remember saying this? And from the logo to the name to everything, it just came into practice, and the vision and the slogan, and we started writing everything down. And yeah, we started AYE. And the primary focus was also to look for people who has experienced what I've gone through and who are Pan-African enough, who are continent builders, who want to make a difference for this continent, to work with the organization. So we're not just looking for staff or employees or whatever you call it. We're looking for team members, Pan-African and continent builders. And that took me 2 years to really find and build a team. So by 2012, we started full operation. We started moving from country to countries.
I mean, you always share that there will be press releases, but I would like to know the challenges. How has it been growing this organization, managing people, and, I mean, risking yourself in their businesses? What has been the challenges so far?
You know, it gets to a point whereby challenges has become so much of an advantage that you now try to look at it, and before you can find it out, it becomes so hard for you to even understand how to bring it out. I think I've used it enough to my favor. So I have to like really, really dig into the organization's skeleton to really think of what the challenges could be. But one key thing that stands out is Pan-Africans. Everybody could say Africa, 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 but we ain't that Pan-African to the core, to the very roots. You know what I'm saying? We like the African vibe. Thank God for the entertainment now that is really making us accept our own. And the fashion industry, I see you flying that beautiful colors.
Thank
so
you.
There's so many things that's now making us embrace that which is ours. But initially, it never used to be that. It wasn't really easy getting the team to make them understand you can do this for Africa, you can do this for posterity, you can do this for legacy. A typical Nigerian wants to work for money. A typical young person is looking about.
Well, a typical Nigerian need money to survive.
Yeah, but there's actually much more that can happen. There's much more, and I won't blame them. I was also like that. My weaknesses have now become my strengths, amazingly, and that's what people should be able to do. If you can turn your weakness to your strength, you will be the strongest person ever. How? And what do I mean? If you look at, like myself, for example, which is a typical Nigerian, the farthest I could see was a year, maybe 6 months. So if you talk to anybody, even your friends, look at them and say, what's going to happen? What's your 2020 plan? Okay, that's next year, they will tell you. What's your plan for 2030? Then you start seeing, they start getting lost. What's your plan for 2040? They start getting lost. They don't see that far. They don't look that far. So you'll be amazed that even people who work with you cannot see that far. They don't understand how much more. And that's why we can't get fully committed people in Africa, because people just want this year, next year, and that's all. They can't even see themselves in that institution for the next 20, 30 years. So that was one key challenge. But of course, educating our team several times, identifying the real people that we wanted, was now, we now turned that challenge into a very good, strong point. And we're looking for people who could see as far as 20, 30 years. The minimum you could see in AYE is 10 years. That's the minimum you can see. So when you come on board, the first question I ask you is, what do you see? And if you can start telling me what you see in the next 10 years, then I appreciate you more. Tell me what you see next week, then you're not part of us. So the challenges are there. Finding the right team is a principal one, but we've been able to work our way through it.
Okay, I'm sure there are more challenges, but we'll get on to that after this very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is One-on-One on Plus TV Africa. Before we went on that very quick break, you were talking about the challenges, but let's move away from the challenges. So you listen to different pitches, business ideas. Does it do anything to your mindset, your orientation? How does it make you see things?
It's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful experiences ever. It's like a producer listening to music, like musicians, and listening to so many artists performing and just trying to dig in between the lines and stuff. I look out for their creativity, and once I always tell people, and most of my team members know, creativity turns me on. So if you say things that are very creatively approaching, it just makes me happy, and I just love the fact that there's hope for this continent. So yes, one of the first things is that Sometimes you get very excited and sometimes you get very disappointed. But of course not. Even the disappointment, you then begin to know what level we are in this continent and how much more work we need to do. We're not so knowledge-driven. And I told you about this last age that is existing, which is the age of technology, backed by knowledge and creativity. And that's one thing we need to promote. You send a typical horse an email. We don't even read the entire email. We read the first 3 lines, we conclude. Something is posted on social media, you read the first 2 lines, you share. You
just the headline, not even...
just the headline, and you share it, and so many things like that. So it's very critical when you see the level of thinking of some people and some reasoning. And instead of us to be disappointed, I think we should begin to understand that the work that needs to be done is coming closer. Instead of us to find it, it's coming right where we are, and we can then fix it. So the next time somebody blogs something rubbish or trash about you on any digital platform, do not get angry about that person. Look at that person. Oh, you're one work that needs to be fixed. You fix Nigeria one person at a time. And you're like, you correct that person publicly, teach the person, and you've impacted knowledge, and that's fine.
So one of the major fear of some people I would consider having brilliant ideas in their closet is the fear of their ideas being stolen from them, like intellectual property and all that. Do you think that fear should be entertained?
If I'm going to sit here and tell you right now that your idea belongs to just you, or you have the only idea, then I'm talking trash. It's never possible. The moment you're thinking it, another person is, 1,000 other people are thinking the same thing you're thinking. And the moment you start talking about it, at least it has started. And that kind of gives you a kind of sense of urgency to want to implement this idea. Because you know yourself that you've thrown this thing to the air. Anybody can take it. I think that kind of like brings that sense of urgency. The moment you still keeping it inside of you, then it gets deeper and maybe wasted. A lot of people die with something I call business miscarriages. The ideas even die inside before it comes out there. So I believe you can give birth to every goddamn idea that comes inside of you. It's very important. You're getting it for a reason. Bring it out. I personally, because of what I do, it's different. It's a vision. And I always say, an idea can be stolen, but you can never copy a vision. It's impossible. So it depends on also what you're looking at or what you're working on. There are some things that you are doing that no one else can copy. If it's a vision-driven initiative, that day you will know that you called for this. It stands out. It's different. It impacts just everybody around you, not just you. It's not just profit. It's a social kind of thing to it, or it's something that affects the entire universe. So you can't call that kind of movement an idea. That's a vision. That can never be copied. But for your ideas, it can, of course, easily be copied, but unfortunately, you cannot keep it inside. You have to bring it out, then it gives you the sense of urgency to execute.
Okay, so I'm going to ask again. 12.6 million people is more than the population of some countries. So what's the future plan? What's the next step for AYE now?
Okay, there's quite a lot we're doing. I think because I work with a bunch of creative people, it's one thing that you have to stay ahead on, or else you're going to become irrelevant. So the moment they are thinking, I'm also thinking very fast so that I can keep being relevant as president, or else my team works so fast that they're just going to kick me out and say, hey, you know what, you're not even creative enough anymore. Just be the founder. So I'm running as much as I can to make things, come up and listen to God and say, what do you have for us? But of course, you should look out for the Entrepreneurship Village coming soon. I won't tell you where it's coming from. Africa's Entrepreneurs Bank coming soon. We've been able to execute the first and largest entrepreneurs cooperative in the world, which is the AYE Trust Fund. Now it's called the Entrepreneurs Trust Fund. And this is just a lot. Of course, the Africa's Entrepreneurship University, these are things that is going to be happening in the nearest future. Remember, the minimum we see is 10, 20 years. So I see 50, 60 years. So don't ask me that question. I will start telling you something that will happen in 100 years.
Okay, so the coming soon you mentioned that you're not sharing with us, does it have anything to do with your recent visit to the Silicon Valley or Facebook office?
Yeah, obviously that had a lot to do with our cooperative, because that's quite impactful. Having a cooperative for entrepreneurs, we feel very neglected. Remember, I indicated the fact that a lot of people run away from investing in these guys because they believe that they are too risky for financial commitment. And so we came together to say, you know what, with this database, how about we form the first and largest entrepreneurship cooperative backed with technology. Remember, it's a normal cooperative, Isusu, Ajo, I don't know what it's been called in different African times. And that was the African banking way, that was the African banking system. So what we now did, creativity, is to apply creativity, back it up with technology, and trust the international world to embrace beautiful things when they say it. So that was why the invitation was sent, that, you know, what are you building here? We can, I'm interested, and trust me to be Pan-African, to be called. You know,
so we should expect a huge partnership coming soon.
That partnership self is just a partnership. We will not let them hijack what belongs to us. It's strictly for Africans.
Okay, so visiting Silicon Valley, that's like the leading tech community in the world right now. Looking at what you saw there, the interactions and everything, where would you say we are as a people in Nigeria and Africa, talking about the fourth industrial revolution and tech?
Firstly, I'm going to talk about the bicycles. As small as a bicycle. Can you ride a bicycle to work? I'm asking you a question. That's the difference. That's as simple as that. You get into the valley and got into Google Campus, and there are no cars. You got to ride a bicycle from one point to another. And it's just beautiful watching that, you know, and you begin to wonder. By the time I come here with a bicycle now, you know, there's already an impression about me, and you don't understand that I'm trying to save the planet because of the emissions and stuff like that. So our thinking, our own perception of how we evaluate people based on what they have or who they know, it's really far behind. We can use the simplest thing to make the biggest efforts in implementing so many things we want to have an impact with. So Africa needs to be, to slow down materials and be very...
Material things.
Yeah, and be very, use that energy to seek and acquire knowledge, because it's very powerful. Knowledge is the most important gift and the most expensive gift you can give anybody. Your teacher told you this thing, it's a cup. At what age did she tell you that? Do you remember?
Primary age.
Primary age. What if you pissed her off and she saw you last week and she told you this thing is a wristwatch? She can't take it back, right? You already know it's a cup. That's how powerful knowledge is. Once given, it can never be taken back. So you should acquire more.
Okay, so the type of content we consume here in Nigeria and in Africa, youth especially, does it worry you? Do you look at it and wonder where the future of Africa is, even if you are very optimistic about where we are supposed to be or where we are heading to? Does it worry you, the content consumption?
Remember, we use challenge for strength. So yes, it does. What they're assimilating every time on a daily basis bothers us. But the fact that they're interested in assimilating during that platform, using that model, interests us. So, okay, since they like to dance and they like to laugh, that's all what they like. And that's the medium. So can we use that medium to pass some knowledge to them? That's how we are beginning to see things. Even with our reality TV show, there's some elements of things that make people feel a little bit relaxed, not making it too serious, so that at least we can hold the target audience and then feed them the right thing they need to hear. So the fact that they are hungry for whatever information they're coming to get interests us. But what they're getting currently, I must say that personally, I'm not too impressed. I feel like we can do better. It's not just government regulations or all those things. No, those things don't really work. I think it starts between you and you Plus TV Africa. What are you throwing out there? What are you showing people from the media industries? What are you educating people about? How are you celebrating the successes of this story? And how are you telling the story of Africa? How are you portraying Africa? It's very key. And I think it's very important. You would see a media house, no media house in America will show the American soldier losing any war in any movie produced. You always find American soldier will win. FBI will capture the bad guy. This will happen. But watch the Nigerian movie. By the day you see the policeman, even a 4-year-old child would not want to be like a policeman. But if a US boy is here, an FBI, he wants to become a policeman.
So we need to use entertainment to shape the perception.
We need to do that. Keep up. If we don't do it live, for real, in Nollywood, when you want to show the policeman, and I'm using this to talk to every media houses out there, show the policeman carrying a very nice piece too, well-dressed, looking good, and a 4-year-old would be like, Mom, I want to be a Nigerian policeman.
But then that would be fiction.
That would what?
That would be fiction. But let's go to this break. When we come back, we'll definitely carry on this conversation.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I think we've done very well in the very difficult circumstances in which we took over governance.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say.
The perception in itself does more harm than actual corruption that you have.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
Welcome back. We're still one-on-one with Sumi Smart Francis. Okay, before we went on that break, we were talking about using entertainment to help our perception of the things we want to change in the country. But I also said, wouldn't that be fiction? Because if you have a policeman dressing so nice and then a 4-year-old sees the policeman on the streets and they're not looking anything close to that, how would you explain that to them?
Let's be aware that that particular episode or that particular movie, it's not going to be watched by only a 4-year-old.
Okay.
It's also going to be watched by the relevant agencies looking at it. So we can also use this to educate the old and the young. Who knows? Maybe the...
this to tell them what they're supposed to know.
You know what I'm saying? So they're like, okay, maybe our uniform is kind of like outdated. This version is good. Maybe those big heavy rifles are just too big. I like the pistol version. You know, just you can put it out there. So it's everybody that's going to be learning this thing. But I tell you, and I stand my ground on that we should use entertainment to show what we want to see. And I bet you, maybe who told you there's no fiction everywhere? Yeah, didn't we go to America? Our American dream. Was it our American dream? Did we see those hoods and all this? I'm like, is this America? Didn't you go to the UK? Didn't you see how tiny those streets are in Europe? Didn't you see what we saw in Canada? But did they show us all those things when we were young? All we saw was that white, beautiful snow, and we just wanted to run abroad. And we got there, we saw, hey, New York could be like this. So yeah, come on, saw the fiction until it becomes real.
Okay, so in 2018, you were reported to be very unhappy with the organizers of Big Brother Naija show. And yeah, you said some things that generated a lot of conversations, and some were in support, right? But right now, you're talking about using entertainment to shape our narrative and our perception. Looking back now, do you still feel the same, or are you beginning to value that platform?
You're a wicked person. Have you ever been told this? Okay, now, because there's a lot of viewers, you don't want to waste that, right? So I'll only give an advice, which is the same thing I've said. Now you've got a lot of things, a lot of viewership on that particular platform. We can then begin to throw a little bit and feed them. Don't come on. Don't give them a whole bucket of it. Spoon feed, teaspoon filled. So yes, by the next time the next episode is gonna come up, you know, let's bring in let them do some creative things. Let them put some creative approach into the show. You know, let them put some challenge that has to do with quick thinking, positive thinking, and things like that. Sorry, I don't watch the show, so I don't know if they do that already, because now I could be criticized more.
They actually do.
Yeah, so they should do more of that. Maybe that would get some of us also thinking and watching it more. But then I appreciate the fact that that model has been able to attract so much audience, and I appreciate the fact that we can still use it. And right now, I'm on spot, I can't really think, but I know there's a lot that can be done with that viewership. A lot can be shared with that viewership, and a lot of information can be passed. How about, for an example, voting? Everybody, it's showing them the power of the vote. Then you can just throw up a graph to show this is how much votes we got, and this is a country, this is how much votes we got. It's going to strike a thought process in every viewers right now. If I can vote for much of this, you can as well do this for your country. You know, you can use a graphic element to show the importance of voting education, tax education, so many things on that show. And you'll be surprised how much people will be educating through that platform.
But then that conversation has actually come up, and it's a case of, okay, so this X number of people voted for Big Brother candidates, right, or Big Brother housemates. And when it comes to our elections, you see a bit of laid backness in the part of the youth, and then they used to come out to tell you, okay, the process of voting for Big Brother is seamless. It's less stressful. It's just a phone away, and then the conversation of going electronic when it comes to politics comes in.
We won't go electronics in Nigeria now, because even though electronics is the person that is behind it. So that person will just press one button and everything will finish. So we won't go electronics. But what I'm saying, the creative approach I would have put into this is to tell all the housemates, and the Big Brother should announce, how many of you have voted in the last election?
Okay.
Start that conversation with them. Then they start having that engagement. I didn't vote, I voted. I didn't vote, I voted. Then there's some critics that come out from it. There's some education that Big Brother will tell them. Even expel somebody for not voting. The people are like, wow, so you can really find something. We can create it. I'm sure you know you're a creative person. We can create something. And people will then understand that you need to get out there and vote if you want your country to be better. And do you know how much people has watched that episode? So it's possible to educate them through that platform.
Okay, so how is your relationship with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Oh, okay. How is my relationship with him? Asiwaju is the patron of the organization. So we have patron and patroness, and we have a couple of them, from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed to Mrs. Folorunsho Alakija to Dr. Sam Jonah of Ghana, the owner of ShopRite, Crystal Risa. We have tons of
them. Okay, ask that question because of my next question, which is on the recent petitions to the EFCC by human rights activists, Deji Adeyoju, to probe Asiwaju's, they call it his bullion van now.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that petition was necessary?
Wait, I'm coming. Who am I to detect what a person's right and how a person should exercise his right? Who am I? Everybody's got a right to probe anybody. So, of course, the guy is exercising his fundamental human right, and he should be allowed to do that. I'm sure even my patron, our patron himself, is not going to deny that guy of that privilege. So, of course, he has the right to do that. He has the right to know. And, of course, he'll get his what's it called? The answer to that request at the appropriate time or through the appropriate measures that he has used.
All right, one last word, because our time is up. One last word for entrepreneurs out there. What would you advise them to do now, especially in this dwindling economy?
Creativity. Creativity is king, man. It's the ability to see far beyond. The ability to hear you when you're not talking. The ability to see you when things are dark. Creativity is magic. You can make a huge lot of money from it. Create things, man, and don't stop thinking. And most of all, to exercise your creativity, you've got to acquire a lot more knowledge. So feed yourself with positive things. YouTube is beautiful. People don't know. You know, they just think watching of videos can just be Instagram and all those Insta stories, Snapchat, things like that. When you go on YouTube, do you know you can write anything inside there and you can learn it within an hour? How to fly a plane? Think about that. Maybe you'll become a pilot as well.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. We've been chatting with Sumi Smart Francis. He's the founder and president of AYE. Thank you for watching. And remember, you can catch up on this conversation and all our interesting conversations on social media and on YouTube at Plus TV Africa. My name is Elsie Godwin. See you later.
All right, country people, greet on top of this very clock. When Sonate join us for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. This is not the throne when someone given my name, na promise, Nero. They say the shame of the Christian Association of Niger Khan for Michika, Adamawa State, Lawan and Dimi. He don't hear from where Boko Haram take hold them. I say they beg, make authorities can release them. They say and Dimi last after one raid, then they say on top of Abubakar Chako-led terror group. Boko Haram, when they do inside Michika, Adamawa State on the 3rd of January 2020. For one video message, he begged with people. He said may they work with them for Khan and the Adamawa State Governor Amadou Umaru Fintri and other authorities made a shukma to release them sharply.
I have never been discouraged because all condition that one may find himself is in the hand of God. God who make them to take care of me and to live my life will still work, will touch them. So in summary of my speech, that the request I should summarize it again in English. I am appealing to my colleagues, reverends, particularly my president, Reverend Billy, Joel Billy, which is a strong man, man of compassion, man of love, that he can do all his best to speak to our governor, Umaru Jibrila, and other necessary agents for my relief, for my release here. These people have been doing good to me. They are filling me with all what I want to eat. They provide a nice place for me to sleep, blanket and every need. So I believe they didn't do anything wrong to me. I still believe that God who made them to act in such a way is still alive and will make all arrangements. By the grace of God, I will be together with my wife, my children, and all my colleagues. If the opportunity have not been granted, maybe it is a will of God. All people, close and far, colleagues and other wishers, to be patient. Don't cry, don't worry, but thank God for everything.
The presidency on Sunday tell Niger people make them no fear for the withdrawal of the 1,200 Chadian troops from the Lake Chad Basin when we say they the border of the country. They say the withdrawal are in line with the mandate of the Multinational Joint Task Force, MNJTF, when we say they launched on July 1st, 2016, and when we say end on December 31st, 2019. They say Niger go send troops go Chad as part of one new concept against the Boko Haram insurgency. In line with the scope of the Multinational Joint Task Force, they called back the 1,200 troops on Friday from one part of the northeast. Because of their withdrawal, plenty Nigerian people from Borno State don't start to run come out from the areas when we say the Chadian troops they manage. They say the operation don't cost Africa EU collabo about €50 million and the UK about £5 million. The International Criminal Court don't say they don't carry their waka for possible war crimes and crimes against humanity for Nigeria to cover the gbege between Niger soldiers and members of the Islamic movement for Niger. The ICC still carry the waka of the gbege between the Niger soldiers and one separatist group when we say the indigenous people of the Biafra for head. The ICC is already seen for the 2019 edition of the every year report of the waka when we say the office of their prosecutor when we say Fatah Benzoda his standards oga they do. The report when we say they say a day for the December 5th, 2019, it shows say they took the waka of Niger for November 18, 2010. And they say the office of the ICC prosecutor on November 12, 2015, showed 8 Ogbonge matter when we say concern the commission of crimes against humanity and war crimes under Articles 7 and 8 of the Rome Statutes. The report when we say shows say Niger dey among the countries under phase 3 examination of the office of the prosecutor. It had their latest update when we say they call subject matter assessment, and they say it don't carry the number of matter when we say involve Niger people from 8 to 10. For the 10 matter, when we say that they under the ICC examination, 7 of them now for Boko Haram and 3 now for Niger Security Forces. They say the Inspector General of Police IGP Mohammed Adamo yesterday, he don't place police command and formation nationwide for the red alert. He said they do the work after intelligence report shows say some domestic interests they plan to do big public disturbance and scatter. The move show face as the United States of America, USA, take key Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, and they say they don't tell the zonal AIGs and command commissioners of police make them do better torchlighting and security of life and property across the nation. He said they don't tell the police commanders make them carry both overt and covert police operative to see better security and safety of citizens, foreigners, especially diplomats, and diplomatic mission when say they Nigeria and say they still protect the Ogbonge national assets. The IGP don't tell Nigerian people and foreigners when say they stay the country, say better security go day, and also the summer one give all the troublemakers to rock up from the street and area of Nigeria. They say the Global Action for Peace, GAP, don't tell the USA and Britain may they do work out the safety of their citizens for Nigeria because of the threat of the Gbege when say the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Yemen, they plan. The Islamic Joint Body don't say they want Gbege foreigners after one military action. Waka when we say Bodo United States of America do when we say make one of their top Iranian military commander, General Qasem Soleimani, die for Iran. Pastor Tunde Bakari when we say get Citadel Global Church yesterday, he don't give Oga President Muhammadu Buhari. He say make he do new waka and build a Bunga name when we say go bring one better Nigeria. He said to bring strong leadership, now we go bring work of nation building, and to touchlight all the energies of the states enter one of Bonga areas. And he go make the president first agenda at Andagirigba for the next 3 years of the administrate. Bakare said to give strong leadership means say that they bring better results or better governance when we say people, policies, program, and process of government go bring better for the productivity for the country. He talked this one for in 2020 State of the Nation when we say they call Show the True Enemies of Nigeria for the church headquarters inside Ogba, Lagos. To know the importance of education and the wish of every parent to give their pikin for the best of education. Even when we say they no fit pay, parents they work out far to give their pikin good educate. But for papa and mama them, when we say they no fit give their pikin quality educate, then they use what they get to give their pikin. As schools they're ready to start again for the country after the long Christmas and New Year holiday, papa and mama them, they do shopping for their pikin. Plus TV Africa yarn with Abiso Adekpoju, when we say be sabi person for pikin matter and chief consultant.
They need to check that they have all the supplies that their kids would need for school. So school bags, lunch boxes, things like that. They would also need to make sure that their uniforms, their shoes, their socks, things like that are in place. Their meal timetable, if they're not taking school lunch, have they set out a meal plan for the week? Have they set out what they would eat, what they would take to school? Have they sorted out transportation? Who will drop them, who will pick them up? Have they put plans in place for when the kids are done from school, homework, things like that? Do they have after-school activities? Parents should take time out during the first week of school to go in and talk to the teachers, the school administrator, head of school, just to find out what the curriculum is about for that term, what the children would be learning. They should also have a one-on-one conversation with the teacher. So go over the child's last term report and, pick out areas which you were not happy with and discuss with the teacher that, okay, I feel we can have a bit more improvement in this area, and then work out a plan with the teacher.
She still yarn for how the Nigerian education system take there and what the government need to do.
The government is not doing a lot of things right when it comes to education. Over the past year, I've been opportune to visit a few schools in Lagos State, and the state of these schools are nothing to write home about. First of all, the infrastructure. You can go into a school and you see that the roof is leaking, the classes are not conducive enough for students. The government should provide more trainings for teachers. You can't just employ anybody to be a teacher. I mean, we know that now the cutoff mark to study education in university in Nigeria has dropped significantly, and it shouldn't be so, because teachers have an important role to play. So the government should also give the teachers more resources to teach with, because if they have limited or no resources, there's no way that they can teach effectively and for the children to understand what is being taught.
All right, the news will continue after the chicken break. Monano go anywhere. They say the American military talk say they don't kill 3 people for one jihadist brigade. When we say happen for one military base inside Kenya on Sunday, when one U.S. service member and 2 civilian defense contractors joined. General Stephen Townsend, he said the Oga of the U.S. African Command, AFRICOM, he talked after jihadists from Somalia, Al-Shabaab group, showed the base inside the Lamu region, say their prayers, he did with the families and friends of their teammates when say they lost their lives today. AFRICOM say 2 other Department of Defense people wound for the brigade for Camp Simba, and they don't tell the people when they say they kill. The Ethiopian Parliament late last week approved amendment for the country anti-terrorist legislation. The new version get better language past the old one, when say activists and human rights joint body say the wording is not follow. As it take concern the one of April 2018, the government they use the law to lock and charge activists, journalists, and opposition politicians. The new text give right for workers to strike, even if this one make them cause kasala for public service. When we say be one of first, when we say they be see as terrorism. It still give Parliament powers to identify and ban terrorist joint body. For this section, they don't use what people talk for the past to censor opposition party as in the hot. All right, the next one, now our foreign news. On to foreign, they say they don't call Iraq Parliament on Sunday for U.S. and other foreign troops to come out as Wahala don't they plenty against the U.S. When we say they take key one top Iranian general and Oga President Donald Trump, they don't the ginger for threats to target Iranian cultural sites if Tehran do anyhow. Because of the big when we say don't put fear for the Ogbonge Middle East Wahala, Iran does say that they take another step back from commitment under one 2015 nuclear deal with 6 major powers. The key Iran Ogbonge General Qasem Soleimani on Friday for one U.S. drone strike when we say go hit in convoy for Baghdad airport when we want attack when we say carry U.S. Iranian hostilities enter another level. One Iranian government minister some accused for Trump had say a terrorist when we say wear coat after the U.S. president sent plenty Twitter post on Saturday as he threatened to hit 52 Iranian sites when we say target better area of Iranian culture. And if Iran begin Americans or U.S. assets to fight back as Suleiman don't die. Iran don't declare say they don't go follow any of the waka when say the 2015 nuclear deal put for their head to stop them. For one Yanis, they say they don't go observe fully hand for enrichment and the level of enrichment, the stock of enriched material or research and develop. The announcement follow one meeting of the Iranian cabinet inside Tehran. Tension don't dey high as U.S. key Iranian General Qasem Soleimani inside Baghdad. Report from Baghdad say they target the U.S. Embassy compound on Sunday evening. One person tell the BBC say they don't launch 4 rounds of indirect fire go the direction of the embassy. But no report of say person die on the ground. 2 lawmakers inside Venezuela don't declare themselves as parliamentary speaker after one wahala day for the country politics. U.S.-backed opposition Oga Juan Guaido and rival Luis Parra they don't claim say they will speak of the National Assembly on Sunday. Guaido when we say they look say they go re-elect him for the post. He say police stop him, making no enter parliament. Remember say last January Guaido called himself Venezuela president. One move when we say they backed by almost 60 countries when the US and the UK they even joined body. After Chihuahua President Nicolas Maduro 2018 re-election. In position for the head of the opposition-led National Assembly, and the grand when we say take claim say he be Venezuela Oga of state. But after 1 year of waka to pursue Oga President Maduro come out from share, he done the struggle to maintain unity among the opposition. The next one, our business news.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Organized labor industrialists and civil rights joined body on Sunday. He said the way when the federal government, they take the carry electricity, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, could start to pay 38.41 naira, 24.30
p.m. and Thursday 11:30 a.m. West African time.
I first go hospital first, but it no go. Now I come make that mama.
Sent it to me.
If we don't take it
Now, we have 15 public hospitals to make them affordable.
In the whole of Africa,
The Ushafa Pottery Center lies alongside media practitioners.
and that's my. See one other tool here. That one is like
Their aid in
sometimes.
Welcome to Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. On today's episode, we'll be focusing on agriculture. Africa's economy is inherently dependent on agriculture. More than 32% of the continent's gross domestic product comes from the sector. However, agricultural productivity still remains far from developed by world standards. Now, in Ghana, David, a young man, is trying to revamp agriculture by making it appeal to young people.
David Asara is on his way to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. The second largest university in Ghana lies 200 kilometers northwest of the capital city, Accra. His organization, Agro Mindset, has established training units in tertiary institutions across Ghana.
But the bigger focus is to set up.
Once a week, the entrepreneur teaches young Ghanaian university students agricultural entrepreneurship.
Maybe when I'm 50
He tries to make it clear that it's not about spending the money immediately, but about reinvesting it in new farming technology.
I think that agriculture ultimately is the best profession, and Agro Mindset has really helped me to realize this potential. And so, as it stands now, I am all for agriculture.
Despite the challenges, David has already won several awards for his work. Most young people aren't interested in agriculture production. They consider it a job for the poor.
It was a big opportunity to experiment and try on my own what I had learned in the traditional classroom and on the field during my internship days. So I got home and I didn't have money to buy a piece of land or the vast land that I wanted. So I rented somebody's abandoned structure. And it's about forming or having a competitive advantage over such gaps. I couldn't buy a land, didn't mean I couldn't do farming. So I rented. And based on the proceeds from the farm, I could buy a vast land and begin to do things my own way.
Every weekday early in the morning, the 27-year-old can usually be found on his poultry farm. For the last 3 years, he has been able to produce 6 million eggs. At present, 7 young employees are supporting him on the farm.
So currently we have a stock of about 6,000 and they are into food production right now.
As well as practical training, David offers logistical support to young people who want to start their own farms. The young entrepreneur is a great role model to them all. Since coming here, I have been inspired to work hard so I can become like him. Since the beginning of his entrepreneurship, more than 50 young people, both locals and students, have benefited from the training. Some of them are now his employees. Working here, I get money to take care of my family and buy food and clothes. Ghana still has to invest almost $1 billion per year to import food. But David Asara's long-term vision is to significantly modernise the agriculture sector in order to enhance food security in his country.
From Ghana, we head to Tanzania, where small-scale rice farmers are taught a little trick with eggs, salt and water to help their produce.
Matrida Kayega and her children are preparing their rice for market. Their last harvest was very successful and they're selling their surplus. We got more rice than before. Before I was getting 8 bags from 1 acre and now I can get 30 bags from an acre. Some 7,500 farmers formed a collective in the Kilombero region. Any rice they don't consume themselves or sell locally goes to the company Kilombero Plantation Limited, KBL. The company trained Richard Hanger, a local farmer, to show other farmers how they can improve their crops. Using an egg, salt and water, he explains how to choose and process seeds. The egg shows when the right level of saturation of the brine is reached. That's when you drop in the seeds. Only those sinking to the bottom should be sown. And that's not all. You dig small holes with a hoe, selling it to KPL. This way they earn.
In the long run, he wants to introduce organic farming methods. But to start with, he's providing the farmers cheap loans for high-quality seeds. That, with the seeds, is good, especially if one has paid off his loan. In the end, you earn a little more money to cover your basic needs. Most important is the processing of rice. Often, rice from the Ivory Coast is littered with stones or sand. Corner processes their harvest in a nearby rice mill. With the help of a Chinese machine, the rice is shelled without it getting broken, from rice husks to rice flour. The cleaned grains are automatically sorted and packaged depending on the quality. In the end, the customer can choose among the different types ranging from fine rice, whole grains, or fragments. Customers are becoming more assertive. They want to get the quality for what they pay. People do not trust the unpackaged rice, which is sold in the markets, because they do not know where it comes from. You need a brand and a distribution network. Then people will buy. Anyone who has tried the local rice will always come back to it.